What is up, everybody? Welcome to ToothAndTailTV, the show where you submit replays and we cast them. I am Delthius, and not joining me this week is Icebox. He's still on baby patrol. But no worries, I hope everybody's having a great fall Thursday night. I know I am. So Banner Bastion has been messing around with a couple, little for fun tournaments and stuff, and I have a replay pack of one that he did kind of in-house, I think it was last night. Let me know if the audio is good. I cranked up the music a little bit. Hopefully it's not overpowering me or anything. But so yeah, I figured tonight we'll focus mainly on the Banner Bastion mini tournament. I got another replay or two in store otherwise, but got a lot of content to cover with that. There's 15 games, and it looks like how it worked was it was Mischievous versus Obscution in round 1, and also Sebslow versus the Gruses Loose in round 1. And then Vikes and DJ Soak appear to have seeded into the next round. So whoever wins those games will fight them, and then of course the final match. So hope everyone is having a good night. And let's. How often does the stream happen? Every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. EST. I normally go for a couple hours, but sometimes a little longer. So all right, let's get started. Game number 1: Mishi versus Obscution. Alright, spawning in the 9 o'clock position is Obscution, and in the noon, we've got Mishi. So, I'm really excited, man. I got to talk to Day 9 a little bit at TwitchCon, and he was saying one of the best things we can do if you want to help grow the community is get involved with and organize or participate in little tournaments and stuff like this, because it's just a lot of fun to compete, man. And I think it'll be a good treat for us tonight, because you should be some pretty high-level meta strategies. I mean, if you're familiar with the Tooth and Tail scene, you probably recognize most of the names coming up in these replays. So far, I mean, neither player doing anything too crazy. Pretty standard opening so far. Just kind of getting their farms up, respecting each other. Now Mishi's not typically a super aggressive player, so no surprise there, but they are very, very close together on this map, and there's a good amount of grist mills. I mean, it's going to be easier for Obscution to expand because Obscution's got this natural base right here, and expansions aren't out of the question for Mishi, but I mean, Mishi'd have to work to get that one over there per se. I mean, it would still be protected fairly well, and both players are looking to snack a quick campfire if possible, and I think that's a really good choice, man, to expand your territory up, be able to build some forward defensive structures. And so far, I really like this game, man. I mean, it's pretty standard openings, and the campfire is kind of cool because it allows you to go. Actually, it's kind of interesting. Neither player has taken their 8th farm yet, so maybe the campfire was designed to allow the farms on your gristmill to last a little bit longer and still get the same economy out. That's kind of interesting, but Obscution taking the mole pick here, so I mean the moles are still pretty good in the mid game, and to help out specific pushes like this. Manages to get the campfire, which is a pretty big deal. Backs out. I mean, I think that was a pretty good play from Obscution. I mean, he lost the mole, but he did get the campfire, and it felt like they traded fairly evenly in Squirrel. So yeah, they're pretty neck and neck, exactly neck and neck right now in army value. Okay, see, I know what I'm talking about, guys. Thanks for the follows, guys. I appreciate it. So, yeah, right now it's still looking pretty standard. I mean, the big choice is going to come up when these guys decide to move out of Tier 1, which, you kind of got that, classic metal style, as we call it, where you just get a ton of squirrels up early, and that certainly is viable. But Mishi going for that Chameleon pick, which I feel is really strong in situations like this, where the enemy doesn't have a big enough army to just kind of, annihilate the Chameleons before they can get any work done. So the Chameleon will be able to tank a lot of the damage, and when it does get up on the squirrels, hurt him pretty significantly. But Obscution is not. He's doing exactly what you need to do when your opponent goes for Tier 2 and you're still on Tier 1, right? If you can sniff it out, you've got the stronger army right now because they've been investing in higher tech. So Obscution smartly comes in for that timing attack, manages to get the campfire down, and still trade pretty effectively with these squirrels here. And let's see. I mean, Mishi does have a Chameleon out, and Mishi wants to be careful, though, to not lose that Chameleon. There we go, decides to show it. Definitely can't lose that Tier 2 Warrant, so good call by Mishi to go ahead and reveal that tech, and we'll see, man. I mean, Obscution is not messing around. He's got a big tempo advantage here. He's got He's got a mole on the way. He's got plenty of squirrels. He's taken out that campfire from Mishi a couple times, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe I saw a Warren or two go down, and let's see how much damage these chameleons get done. One drops already, and the second one, oh, it's still alive right now, okay. I mean, that was pretty effective. Mishi finally was able to regain tempo, but at the cost of both his chameleons here. But overall, I mean, if Mishi can maintain this position, he should come out on top here. I mean, the armies are pretty similar, but Mishi's got that added advantage of having the tier 2 Warren. You know, granted, he can't take this campfire, but really smart play by Obscution to start that campfire and have it tank some damage. I mean, I don't think he got the cancel off, and it can be risky when you're still kind of stuck on this tier 1 tech, but that's always a good idea you can do if you walk into a fight and you've still got a good amount of money. Is go ahead and take something like a campfire or gristmill to soak up some hits from your enemy, but it looks like Mishi's pushing the tempo advantage here, comes in, manages to take out Obscution's campfire, and those chameleons tanking up front, man, are really starting to pay off. And I mean, now that Obscution never got an opportunity to really tech up to tier 2, is what I was going to say earlier, because Obscution kept building the moles, right? So that's kind of the trade-off of the mole. You know, the mole made a lot of his early attacks more powerful, but now he doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. So he does eventually end up getting his own chameleon Warren out, and we're coming up on the 5-minute mark here now, guys. So these guys really need to either commit to a one-base play or take an expansion, and that's going to be, you know, pretty easy for Obscution, but at the same time, I mean, Mishi's 3 o'clock expansion over here is pretty well protected, and it's going to be hard for Obscution to get over there and take that out, you know, without getting really out of position. And, you know, that's what gets really rough, man. Like, you need to constantly scout, but you can't let your rat get out of position for big engagements like this, or it could have gone even worse. And I think Mishi's just kind of got enough value over time throughout the various fights to go in there and finish off his opponent. So, great game 1, man. Disgracing moles, DJ says. Do you still use moles, DJ? I bet you do. We'll see. Alright. So, we're going to go into round 2 of Mishi vs. Obscution. I'm going to try to do it quick so you guys can't see the spoilers of the best of X amounts. You probably still will anyways, but hey, I tried. Okay. So, 5 o'clock position, we've got spawning as the best rat ever, Hopper, Mishi. And in the 1 o'clock, spawning as a greedy capitalist bellified, Obscution. So, I mean, this kind of looks more like the game these players want to play, especially knowing Mishi's style. I mean, Mishi's got this pocket base, easy to defend, you know, expand, or pretty early ramp up, but so does Obscution. I mean, I don't think either of these players are going to do anything nuts in the early game. I think they're both kind of in that gentleman's agreement, let's get up to 8 farms, you know, I'm down if you're down kind of deal. And man, I would love to see either of these players like sneak this campfire over there, because, you know, if you can sneak a campfire on the map and hold it for more than a minute, you know, it's pretty high value. And even if your opponent does discover it later on, when you kind of have to really worry about your army's positioning, it might not really be worth it to go over there and take it out, especially if you don't have, you know, some kind of unit with agile, or is it swift? I think it's swift, right? Like lizards that can run really, really fast. So, but I love the ferret pick coming out of Obscution here, man. I'm a huge, huge fan of ferrets, and interesting to see the mines. Now, we didn't get to use them too much last game. I think that what Mishi's doing is just the, like, bread and butter freaking standard build right now, man. And if you're a new player, like, you don't have to steal that build exactly, but something along those lines. Like, squirrel plus pigeon, and then whatever tier 2 units you like the best, and whatever tier 3 unit you like, and throw on a turret. I just think that's a really well-rounded. It's safe. It's kind of like not super, super good at anything in particular, but kind of really good at everything type of deal. So we'll have to see. I mean, Obscution is deciding the ferrets the move to make this game and rushes up to it, but Mishi with the falcons, man, like, that's gonna hurt really bad. If Mishi can get in there with the falcons and take out those defenseless ferrets, it's gonna be real hard times for Obscution. Oh yeah, sorry, I was reading the chat, but yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I could do things to censor it, I just don't have my act together. I was thinking about making like an overlay on the replay screen with like a logo or something to go over the games when I do tournament matches, because I don't know, like I kind of don't, I like it when people can see the names and replays for like a replay show, But for like tournament replays, there definitely should be some kind of censor. I did change the names of the winners game though, so nobody knows who's going to be in the grand finals. So I at least did that. But Mishi about to walk over those mines, and that's gotta hurt. He takes out a couple squirrels, and this is where it's really going to come down to micro. I mean, Obscution's got a lot of advantage right now. He's got a lot of squirrels. They're all ready to go. And here it comes. I mean, Mishi's got to be really careful with that Falcon. It's almost dead, and Obscution smartly targets it down. But if Mishi wins this engagement, yeah, wins at the squirrel fight, now these ferrets are totally exposed. And good for Obscution, he can retreat back to his territory in time before those got picked off by the wing demons. So, not too bad. I really like Obscution's position this game, to be honest. I mean, he's putting out a lot of good pressure. He's using these ferrets effectively. But the problem is, if Mishi wins this squirrel fight, which Mishi is going to tend to do with the Falcons, those ferrets can easily get taken out because they're so slow and vulnerable. So Obscution took this gristmill right here just to help tank damage, which is always a good call. Especially if you got a little bit of extra money to spend, which sometimes you do when you're kind of microing your army in the middle of the fight. Your money tends to build up a little, so if you see a gristmill or something like that, just go ahead and take it. I mean, Mishi looks like he's gonna win this fight anyways, but look how much damage that gristmill took. That can really make the difference in some engagements. But so far so good. I mean, we're coming up to the 4-minute mark now, so nobody's like super pressured to expand yet, but it needs to be on people's minds. Yeah, Mishi already snuck out an expansion, I apologize, but throws down his first farm for it. And meanwhile, Obscution's just kind of going for that classic metal, get up to a crap ton of squirrel style, which, works really effectively, but maybe he's thinking a one base all in here, maybe overwhelm the squirrel count of Mishi and then be able to take those Falcons out, but the problem is I feel like these Falcons are just going to be able to add so much value from the back line as long as Mishi keeps them tucked away. It's going to be hard for those squirrels to get on top, and let's see if Obscution tries to micro to get the Falcons. He doesn't, but his superior squirrel army is almost making the difference, but yeah, finally comes through and wipes Mishi's army entirely. Great engagement for Obscution there for sure. And I mean, both players right now are pretty satisfied with their compositions, and you got to be careful in positions like this with Obscution. Like, you don't want to lose the tempo advantage that you got from winning that fight, right? And miss the opportunity to come in and get damage done. But Defender's advantage is so strong. It can be very difficult with how quickly Mishi's army re-rallies, with the buildings helping tank some of the damage. It can be really dangerous, and it's very easy to overextend. So, I mean, Obscution needs to think a little bit about his economy right now. Maybe thinking about getting some ferrets back out or something. He did sell his ferret tier 2 Warren earlier, which was a smart move, and Mishi kind of downsizing as well and selling off a Falcon. And actually, Obscution's feels pretty all in on this play. Well, he did take it a second gristmill, but it's pretty late. But, I mean, really at the same time, Mishi's economy is not insanely ahead of his, right? I mean, Mishi did get his second base up first, but hasn't really taken any farms there yet, just a couple, and just now throwing down a little bit more. So we'll have to see. It's kind of neat when the early game is so like action packed. Neither side really got the opportunity to build up a complete army, So these guys kind of got their ideal starting compositions out, butted heads a couple times, and then kind of reset each other where they both had to sell off some Warrens. And it's really cool to try to manage your economy in those ways, man. You got to be really careful your economy can support however many Warrens you have. Otherwise, those extra Warrens that aren't producing units, that's money better spent somewhere else. So, really good decision making out of these guys, and it looks like maybe Mishi's superior. I think what this game came down to is Mishi did win quite a few of those engagements from that added value from the Falcons, and when Obscution downsized to just one tier 2, downsized his tier 2, Mishi still had one left and was able to match him and do the same thing for the squirrel production. So, really cool match. Okay, so Mishi advances. Alright. And then the next game is going to be Sezblo versus the Groose is Loose. So let me hop into that. This is still round 1. Okay. Spawning in the top right as Archimedes, we've got the Groose is Loose. And spawning in the 10 o'clock position as Hopper, we've got Sezblo. Alright, so let me take a look at these. For one, I just love this map. I always get distracted by snow maps because it's just so pretty, man. Look at that. Beautiful. And I think this patch, I was kind of commenting on it on oh, but hang on, I don't have time to rant because the Goose is Loose isn't messing around, man. He's got one mole up and Sezlo deciding, you know, the turrets are the way to go. Let's see if Goose is Loose is gonna get a pig. It doesn't look like it. Man, beautiful hold for Sezlo there, man, for sure. Like, that puts you pretty far ahead. I mean, 60 food, you know, if you're a new player, you might not think 60 food is a whole lot, but it's a ton at the very, very beginning of the game, right? And then as the game progresses, it's more and more negligible. But right now, in the really early stages of an RTS, you know, every buck counts, man. So the Goose is Loose did come out a little bit behind. You can actually see it represented in their food pretty easily. Well, for a minute there, Goose was like exactly 60 food behind Sezlo. But anyways, they're both getting out their first tier choices here, and I like that we're gonna see lizards coming out of Sezlo, and the lizard squirrel pick does make sense because I feel like the consensus on lizards right now is lizards are still really good in the early game. But as time progresses and squirrels kind of hit this critical mass, you know, they start losing value. So Sezlo's strategy here is to come in, you know, harass with the lizards in the early game, maybe do some flank attacks, and you know, I really feel like that's a underutilized purpose of the lizard as well in the current meta. I mean, some people do it, but they're really one of the only units you can attack a completely different position at and not, you know, imagine if the Goose, oh, never mind, hang on, Sezlo's coming in for an attack. Let's see if he can get anything done. He gets one pig. He loses several lizards in the exchange, but one could argue the interruption in mining kind of evens it out. But you know what I was going to say is, imagine the Goose is Loose took like this campfire down here, right? And we're a few minutes further in the game, and they kind of have this big standoff going off here. Sezlo can leave most of his army behind and just take his lizards over there and quickly knock that campfire out. So those kinds of plays, I feel like, should really keep the lizard around, regardless. But we'll see when the kind of the magic number that Sezlo think it's appropriate to start building some squirrels is, and it looks like around after getting a first 9 lizards out. So stags a campfire, and Goose is Loose is taking a pretty early expansion. I mean, you can't blame him, man. That expansion is basically gift wrap for him. It's a perfect natural base there, so he's gonna be happy taking that a little bit early. We'll just have to see if he can hold it off. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea, especially if he gets a turret up or two, you know, kind of in that forward ground, and sets up a good position. But I don't want to see him oversaturating the space or anything like that. So, good response from Sezlo as well. I mean, just saying, hey, if you're going to be greedy, I'll match up with greed of my own. Plus, Seb's got the extra campfire working in his favor. Now, the Goose is Loose is making a mole right now. Normally when you make a mole, that means you're not messing around anymore and you're ready to get after it. So I'd imagine, you know, Goose is Loose is a good player. I'd imagine, yeah, he's going to move out right now. So let's see how this engagement goes. And I like how he's putting the mole up just a little bit to tank some of that initial lizard damage. That's some pretty good micro strategy coming out of Goose is Loose there. But, I mean, in the end, Sezlo just had just enough to hold it off. And you got to remember, man, even after the changes, lizards still trade very well with the squirrels, so they're still pretty neck and neck, though. Yeah, I mean, Sezlo's a little ahead, but not super significantly, you know? I mean, if you look at it, he's really just, he's a campfire and a warren ahead right now, so love to see what their next... I'm really interested to see where the Goose is Loose wants to take the game from here, because he's got the wolf, he's got the chameleons, he's got the ferrets. We have to see what decision is going to come out of him. And Sezlo, I think, making a great call with the ferret there, especially because we have this like super high tension little strip right here, man, of war going on. The ferret's going to be perfect to kind of poke at the enemy, but still be safe enough to hide behind your front lines. And good strategy coming out of Goose is Loose here. I love stuff like this. You know, those turrets aren't directly threatening the expansion of Sezlo, but they're making it to where the lizards just can't engage, because all the Goose has to do is back up a little bit, and his squirrels have really good backup from those turrets. So we'll have to see. I mean, Goose is probably going to have to sell those turrets now that he sees the ferrets, unless he's just really adamant about keeping this map position. And that's really what this dance is all about here, guys. I mean, they're both really trying to control this middle high ground, because it's going to dictate who gets contained, right? I mean, whoever owns this middle field owns the rest of the map, essentially. You know, imagine if Gruce's Loose got some turrets up, you know, really close to those warrens, for example, of Seblo, because Seblo had to retreat back from a bad engagement. So yeah, man, it's looking good. Yeah, check out these. I guess these Christmas Santa ferrets are a little more appropriate now. We need some Thanksgiving Day, lol. We need some Thanksgiving costumes, man. That'd be good. I don't know how we would do that. Little mole pilgrims or something. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I think Seblo's in a better spot than it appears to be, right? I mean, the Gruce's Loose has an economy behind all of this, which is really important, but Seblo has a really powerful mid-game composition here. He's got the ferrets to just constantly be dealing some damage, and the lizards just beat the crap out of the squirrels on the front lines, so Gruce's Loose, all he's really got to do is hold off. I mean, Seblo's economy is basically ruined, so he's got this one army left, and he's saying, alright man, I gotta beat you right here, right now, but that window is closing over time, because the Gruce's Loose's economy is just insane compared to Seblo's. I mean, I almost would have liked to... Well, to be fair, he didn't really have any other gristmills available to this map, besides maybe those ones in the back over there, but there were a couple other campfires he maybe could have taken, but again, man, it's really hard to do stuff like that in situations like this, where that front line is just constantly being contested. You don't have a whole lot of time to be running around the map and doing things like taking campfires and stuff, because if you're against a good opponent, especially like Gruce's Loose, then you're gonna have a bad time, man. Right when he notices your commander's out of position, he can move in and take you out. But kind of switching roles here. I mean, the Gruce is starving now, man. I mean, Seblo might actually win this game. You know, his kind of last-ditch effort push did work successfully. I mean, the combination of lizards and ferrets ended up getting him the value he needed, and now Gruce's Loose is starving, and he's really got to sell something to place down another farm, but I think at this point in the game, he knows if he can't wipe it here, then he's gonna lose, and we'll have to see. What is up with this replay? Well, it looks like Seblo wins. I guess the replay glitched or something. That's hilarious. Look at that. Oh wait, it's gonna starve. Hang on, we'll wait for the starve, right? That should end the game. Boom. Cool. Yeah, that was from like yesterday, so I don't know. Maybe the players put their controllers down or something. Alright, next game. Same matchup. Let's do it. Round 2. Alright, spawning in the 12 o'clock position. In the yellow, we've got the Gruce's Loose. And directly underneath them, at the 6 o'clock, we've got Seblo. So, again, man, I love this map. It looks really nice. I can't get over these snowy terrains, man. But, let's see. I mean, the Gruce's Loose has a good natural expansion there, but it's on the low ground, right? And that's going to be very easy for Seblo to come in and harass and take advantage of, especially with squirrels. Like, if he tried to expand there, just getting some squirrels up on this ledge, or even taking a nearby campfire or gristmill and getting some turrets up there, that could hurt pretty bad. But other than that, I mean, the Gruce's Loose has a really good kind of territory back here that should be easy to defend. You know, there's only one entrance to his base. There's only one entrance to basically his base and his natural expansion, and a third base is pretty close to him as well. But Seblo's not really hurting too bad either. I mean, Seblo can claim this area over here as 2 additional bases, and it should be pretty easy for Seblo to secure these campfires on the map as well. And we'll have to see what these guys decide to do. I mean, Gruce's Loose just saying, you know what, I'm going to go straight up to 8 farms, ain't nothing wrong with that. And, well, there might be actually, because Seblo decided to go get 6 farm and then 2 lizard warren, and he's going to see, oh yeah, Gruce's Loose being very greedy here, getting out Chameleon as the first warren of choice, so this could work out fairly well for Seblo. I mean, if he gets up 5, 4 or 5 lizards, moves out, and the other guys will naturally come in, I mean, he could be in a good position. And yeah, I like that idea too, just saying, you know, I recognize you're being really, really greedy with your opening, so I'm going to go even harder on tier 1, build additional lizards very, very quickly, and see what I can get done. But unfortunately, that window is kind of closing. Like, I feel like Seblo needed to move out a little bit earlier, because now the Chameleon's going to be up, the Grues's Loose is going to have plenty of squirrels out, so I mean, maybe the plan wasn't for early aggression. Maybe Seblo was expecting his opponent to be aggressive and just decided to be safe. There's, that's totally fine too. And right now, it looks like it's gonna be that classic situation where you got the one player rushed up for the really greedy tier 2 versus the guy who's going super hard on tier 1. And I don't think that's totally phased out or figured out rather. I mean, I think that kind of engagement can go either way. I've certainly been on the receiving end of both situations, where my quick tier 2 beats the crap out of the tier 1s, and the other way around as well. But Grues's Loose deciding he's going to come in and poke and prod, and yeah, that's what sucks, man. It looks like he caught Seblo just kind of in the wrong spot, putting down some extra Warrens at his base, doing some upkeep stuff, and is able to win the fight because of that. I mean, he got in there on top of that turret with no contestation at all, and turrets are really good, man. Like, I highly recommend using turrets, especially if you're a new player, but they're not super good by themselves. Like, you have to have your army around them. The ideal situation for a turret is really for it to not take much damage at all. You want your grunt units to kind of be up front, tanking the damage, and just let that turret do that constant DPS output. But I mean, Grues's Loose has got a lot of tempo since he won that initial fight. He managed to take that high ground, and not only that, but a lot of Seblo's investments were on that high ground, right? He had the campfire, he had that turret, he had a couple Warrens, and very smartly, Grues's Loose decides, you know what, I'm really far ahead, I'm going to go back, I'm going to macro up a little bit, I'm not going to overcommit, I'll wait for both my Chameleons, and it's going to be good to go, so we'll have to see. I don't think the Grues's Loose should wait around for too long, though, man. I mean, he's got a good advantage right now, so I'd like to see him push it and try to end this game before Seblo really gets an opportunity to recover, because, I mean, if you look at what they've got in the army composition area, I mean, 2 Chameleons versus, yeah, Grues's Loose will have 4 here soon, but, I mean, 12 Lizards versus 15 Squirrels, that's relatively even, so we'll have to see how this engagement goes, but, again, I don't... Seblo's army was just out of position at the beginning of that fight, like half his army got engaged upon while the rest of his Lizards were still at the Warren, and it's going to allow Grues's Loose to come in here and I think basically deal lethal damage at this point. Yeah. Ha! I don't know if there's something up with these replays or something, but it looks like it glitched out, but I think it's pretty obvious Grues's Loose won right there. Alright. Welcome everybody. How's it going, guys? Welcome to ToothAndTailTV. Right now we're looking at Banner Bastion's little mini tournament he did yesterday. I think he's, trying to develop his chops on challenge a little bit, which I think is great, man. The more little events and tournaments and stuff we can get going as a community, the better. So I snagged a bunch of replays from that, and we are taking a look at them tonight. So the next match is going to be the final game in that best of 3. So let's hop into it. Grues's Loose versus Seblo. Okay, got the traditional terrain here, but in the 3 o'clock position we've got the Grues's Loose, and in the 9 o'clock we've got Seblo. So I like the change up in the composition from Seblo here. I mean, he's got the Badger and the Barbed Wire and the Snake, really trying something different in this last game, which I think is pretty important, especially tournament play. You don't want to go in to every single round with the same build order, the same strategy, the same deck composition, or else it's going to be easy to kind of like figure you out. So, I mean, I think it's a really good hallmark sign of a top player when they can play multiple builds effectively. So, I really like to see people change it up. Like, I personally, I want to get more builds under my belt, but I've kind of got like my standard, take a couple tier 2, tier 1, a tier 3, and a turret, and then I've got another crazy build I've been trying to get into my repertoire with like barbed wire and balloons and owls and stuff, and do that big World War I turtley style, which can be a lot of fun. So it really is important change it up, man. You know, if you're kind of classified as a macro player, man, throw a super aggressive 4-farm double Warren Lizard Rush in there and catch your opponent off guard or something like that. And Seblo decided to go straight up to the tier 2 Warren, and that is, you know, it's hard for me to say anymore how risky it is, right? Because the meta changes pretty often. And a few weeks ago, if you would have done something like that, it would have been suicide, but there's a little bit less emphasis on like the 4-farm Warrens and the quick mole rushes and stuff than there used to be, so greedier builds are allowed to flourish right now, right? So going something like 8-farm, you know, straight to a snake and then getting your tier 1 up after it is actually advantageous to going a safer build, because at the end of the day, these guys are going to come out with roughly the same thing, except for Seblo's tier 2 is going to be much sooner. See, like the example here is Gruseless went for a more safe build. I mean, he took a pretty fast expansion, but I think they've just kind of agreed this is going to be a macro game, right? Like both players took an expansion at the 2-minute mark, but Seblo has a timing attack right now because of his earlier greed in the early game, right? I mean, if you want to move out right now, look, he's got 6 lizards and 2 snakes versus the Groose is just 6 squirrels with his ferrets on the way. So that's the advantage you can get out of doing greedier things versus safe things, right? And, you know, he doesn't have to. It's not like Seblo is doing this build where if he doesn't attack right now, then it's all going to fall apart or anything. But it just kind of shows when people feel safe enough to do very greedy things in the meta, you can get some crazy stuff going on. Like, how long will it be until people feel safe enough to go straight for a tier 3 or something crazy like that, right? That might be a little too much, but still. I mean, these guys are going really no rush 20 money map style here, man. I mean, already both guys have half saturated up their second bases. They've got a couple tier 2s out. Seblo's deciding to go really hard on tier 1. And the Groose, yeah, I was about to say, the Groose is kind of saving up his money for a decision, but he ends up going for the Wolf, which makes good sense. And the Wolf is really powerful right now, man. Like, don't underestimate Wolves. They can wreck some faces for sure. And it's kind of interesting with the defensive stuff, you know, like, I love it. I think defense is really good, but I feel like defense is best served to gain map awareness and situations and kind of control the map and pivots and where the battle's going on and stuff like that. I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with throwing down a couple turrets to be safe, but right now that defense isn't really doing anything. But it's hard to kind of find that balance of when the attack is going to come. And I mean, hell, when you're on an economy like these guys are on, a few turrets certainly isn't gonna be the biggest difference in the world. So yeah, I love this play out of Seblo. It's just kind of stealing that campfire at the 6 o'clock position because, you know, why not? It's going to be difficult for Gruse's Loose to move his army over there and getting the Badger out his own. So this is kind of gearing up for a really hardcore mid-game here. I mean, these guys are taking insane economies, building up these insane armies. You know, Seblo getting this impenetrable barbed wire fortress going on. And yeah, I mean, well, I guess the Chameleons can do pretty okay against barbed wire, but it's really going to come down to when either player feels confident enough to take a fight, right? And yeah, these are the kind of turrets I like to see, man. Really contesting that high ground in the middle. And yeah, the Groose, see, the decision making out of those earlier turrets was Groose was like, you know, I'm going to go really greedy and macro up super hard and get an insane army. So if my opponent does not do that, I got these turrets just to be safe. So no big deal for sure. And he's got his Wolf out now, so now he's really trying to contest this middle of the map here, which is going to give him a lot more options. You can see he's already trying to gear up the biggest economy he possibly can. He's already got a 3rd gristmill. He's got a campfire, and yeah, this type of stuff I love to see, man. Just moving a couple units over, issuing the attack command once where they'll kill it, moving back to his army so he's not out of position. You know, that was a great example of how to take out a campfire your opponent placed without getting out of position there. So Seblo, man, going really hard on the snakes, though. This is going to be crazy. 8 snakes versus 8 falcons. I believe it's 2 hits from a snake to kill a falcon, so neither one of these guys are running pigeons. And both these players do have the ferrets, so this ferret micro can get pretty intense. And looks like this is where the contention is really going to start to happen, and it makes sense if you look at their compositions. Both players are like, okay, I've got a good core composition up together, and I'm ready to start putting on a little bit of pressure. So, damn, man, Seblo going hard on that third base, just fully saturating it up. I can't say I don't blame him, but you got to be careful too, man, because you don't want to saturate up too fast, because the maps will mine out relatively quickly. So you want to make sure you're in a position where you can play the starving game too, right? I mean, it's going to be hard for the Groose here to get up that high ground with, with the ferrets, with the snake, with the better vision, obviously, with the barbed wire. And to be honest, I don't think he really has to. I think if the Groose is loose, just kind of doesn't let Seblo stretch his tentacles all over this map and, takes out this gristmill here and prevents this gristmill from coming up, he doesn't ever actually have to come up here to win the game. So we'll have to see. I mean, it looks like he's kind of giving him this gristmill right now. We'll have to see when he decides to start contesting it. And you got to be careful of building a lot of turrets when the enemy has so many ferrets, especially. So good snipe on that gristmill there. Gets out relatively unharmed. Wow, surprisingly, yeah, I don't think any of his hide. No, I think a chameleon or two died to poison. Let's see here. So the second bases are starting to mine out now. Both players have their third bases up, running fairly well. The campfires kind of keep getting taken a little bit. This one's been maintained for a while now. But this is just kind of like that mid-game, late-game dance, right? Like, both players have units to micro, have units to micro against, and are just trying to get little pieces of value everywhere. Every 20 food counts from killing a tier 1. And I don't think it's too uncommon in a situation like this to see money start raising. I mean, maybe these players are deciding I'd rather be able to remake this army, very, very quickly, instead of throw down an insane amount of warrens or anything like that. You gotta always make sure you're not throwing down more warrens than your economy can support, and this is what's kind of difficult too with ferrets, right? Like, you notice that Red's gristmill here is almost dead, but as long as Red just kind of keeps dancing around, it's gonna be hard for the ferret's AI to actually line up and take that gristmill out. And that might, oh, let's see, here we go. He decides to commit with the Badger, but the Badger, not having any pigeons to help it out, gets slammed immediately. And my god, dude. The DPS out of 8 buffed up wing demons. I mean, he's got 2 whoops here. He's got a ton of falcons. And the Groose is Loose is just rampaging into Seblo's base. I think that was a pretty epic battle to seal the deal on this series, so great game out of the Groose is Loose here. I don't know what is up with these replays, man, but they are just not ending. I think it's pretty clear Groose wins, right? Yeah, it's just gonna go on forever. Ah, that's funny. Yeah. Groose won, guys. Yeah, I don't know. Those replays were like, I think they were taken like yesterday. Okay. So, that means we're gonna go into the second round of this tournament, where Vikes seeded in and is gonna tee off against Mishi. Let's go to game number 1. Alright. Spawning in the 6 o'clock, we've got Vix. And in the 12 o'clock position, Mishi. Let's see. So yeah, I love this build out of Mishi, man. Very bread and butter, in my opinion. If you're here to find a build you can steal on the ladder and have a lot of fun with, man, that's definitely it. And Vix's build is also like really, I don't want to say it's standard, but it's definitely meta right now. Like, people really like their tier 2 options, and some players opt to basically take the whole gambit of various opportunities at your disposal. And I always like to see what the decision making is going to be out of a player who takes four tier 2 warrens up front, It's like, which one are you going to go for first? I think it makes the most sense to go for Chameleon or Snake first, and it feels like the Skunk might be a tech play against an enemy who goes for just a ton of tier 1 warrens, or maybe the Ferret as a similar position as a tech play for kind of no man lands or opponents who go hardcore on the defense, or just to be able to add some late game poking potential to your overall composition. So really curious to see what that decision is going to be. And if I know Mishi, which I'd imagine he's going to go for 2 Tier 1 Warrens right off the bat, which he did, of course. And then now he's going to throw down a Tier 2 of his choice. And I think it's probably going to be the Chameleons. I think that makes sense as a smart first Tier 2 choice. But we'll have to see. I'm actually really interested for the next, like, 10 seconds of this. And because this is where the decision-making is. Yeah, it looks like Mishi's saving up for a Tier 2. I'm going to say Chameleons. Oh, yeah, there we go. Boom. And he just kind of resold that one Warren because it didn't affect his production very much and just kind of wanted to get that Chameleon nest out as soon as possible. Looks like Vix is in no rush to get up to Tier 2 right now, though, surprisingly, because that's basically what his entire deck is, and decides to go for an early Campfire instead, which, yeah, that Campfire's in a pretty good position, especially with the turrets from Vix. Like, if Vix took this Gristmill right there and maybe placed a turret or two on this high ground, he'd be in a very defendable position. It'd be good. Mishi's like, what the hell? I predict, but no, you're good, man. But yeah, so the snakes come down for Vix, and I think that's going to be pretty effective. Well, maybe not, because Mishi does have the pigeons, and I'm curious when Mishi's going to add those pigeons into the comp. I'd say probably now. No, decides to go up to 12 squirrels first, so I don't know. Like, I feel like 9 squirrels, 3 pigeons is a good ratio. I'm certainly not a top player, but I think 12 makes sense too. Or if you want to be really aggressive in the early to mid game, you know, going for up to 15 squirrels before a pigeon might make sense as well. But I don't know. I think pigeons are in a good spot right now. Like, they're not this you gotta take them unit anymore, but they still add a lot of value and are you know, if you're a player like me who likes to try to get the most out of all your units, it's a really cool addition to a deck. But as anything else, it's always hard to find that slot. And yeah, sure enough, Vix is going for the Snake and Chameleon Tier 2 picks kind of out the gate, which makes sense to me. I think, like I said earlier, the Skunk and Ferret are kind of like tech picks, but I love this little kind of hidden base out of Mishi here. I mean, as Vix, okay, Vix has successfully scouted the map, but you know, he might not go over that base for a while. And let me see, as I say that, is he going to scout it immediately? Oh, he didn't see it, but he takes a little secret base of their own, and Vix is going to notice it eventually. I mean, if anything else, when he goes to throw a couple farms down around that gristmill, yeah, he's got the vision now. So let's see if that's kind of his trigger to move out, and indeed it is. And kind of scouting his opponent's army composition is like, you know what, I'm going to throw in some skunks as well. So it's pretty cool, man. He's kind of getting like one of every Tier 2 unit and just a ton of Tier 1. And man, I love that turret placement out of Vix, but Chameleons are a really good counter to that, and they end up knocking those out immediately. Chameleons die, but I don't know, I think Mishi's got too many squirrels here, and that's why you gotta be a little careful about these going too many Tier 2s, because, you know, don't underestimate squirrels, man. Squirrels are quite powerful. So the Skunk comes in, which obviously is good against the squirrels, but he's a little late to the party. Let's see. I'm actually surprised that both these gristmills still exist. Like, this is where all the action is going to be. And, you know, Mishi might have the larger army here, but Vix's is definitely more advanced, and as long as Vix can manage to keep his expensive Tier 2 units alive while his squirrels reinforce, he might be able to set up a powerful position here. And I don't know, man. It's rough. It's a rough spot to be in. He's got so many Warrens right now. It's going to be difficult to reproduce here. And he does have one snake still to his name. The Skunks eventually, unfortunately, died. But you know, against Chameleons, it can be very difficult to micro your expensive Tier 2 units, because they can just sneak up right on your face and give you the old beat down. Which is what we see happening here. So Mishi taking a pretty convincing victory there in the engagement, and sure enough the game as well. So round number 1 goes to Mishi. Okay. Game number 2. What we got? Oh no! Lol. Hang on, guys. Hang on, guys. I didn't do that. You saw nothing. Okay. Oh. Spawning in the bottom left is Mishi. Man, I had deja vu for a second. I was worried I already casted this one or something. The map looks pretty similar. And then in the top right, we've got Vix. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely a different map. There's a little bridge to the campfire over there, and look at that little doodad. I love it. But you know, this is a pretty standard, you know, bread and butter tooth and tail map. I feel like, right? Like Vix has got a pretty good, you know, very, very easy, kind of gifted campfire. He's got a natural base that's not unreasonable. A little bit of easier expansion over here. And Mishi does have this pocket base, which is a pretty big blessing, but you know, this third base is kind of a pain in the ass to get to. I mean, it is like right within Mishi's territory off the front, but it's still, you got to wrap around all the way to the entrance to even get to the front of that base. So it could be a little more difficult to defend than it looks, but overall, I mean, height is a really big thing in this game, guys. Like, having the high ground advantage is pretty huge, and Mishi's definitely got that when the engagement, because, you know, these guys seem to be macro players. They're kind of respecting each other, right? They went straight up to 8 farms. They're going to go for maybe a fast tier 2 play or something like that, and then the contention is really going to happen on these bases right here, and Mishi just kind of has the advantage with the terrain for those engagements. If Mishi throws a couple turrets up on that high ground, or just the vision that Mishi gets. Unfortunately for Vix, he doesn't have any units in his party that could grant him high ground vision with flight. So that's another thing too to keep in mind, is pigeons and falcons will give you high ground vision, which helps out a ton in engagements like the one we're going to be gearing up to. So Mishi going for that double tier 1 Warren Chameleon play, and Vix going for the quick 9 squirrels and a campfire. You know, both pretty good styles. I don't think anyone is ahead yet. I think both these builds and plays are pretty reasonable, but actually, you know what? Vix has got 2 campfires going, so that's not negligible. And in the meantime, Mishi's being pretty greedy with a fairly early gristmill expansion, and we're gonna see how much Mishi decides to commit to it at this point. See how many farms he throws down. Just 1 for now, maybe 2. I think it's good to try to get up to about 4 farms under second base before that 5-minute mark, and make sure your economy is still going once once those first 5 farms mine out. So let's see. Just getting a little scouting done, no big deal. And yeah, stuff's pretty standard now. I mean, Vix is going for a few more tier 1 Warrens with just a solo tier 2, while Mishi's cutting back on the initial squirrel production to get out quicker tier 2s. And man, Falcons with the, you know, Chameleon Falcon actually makes a lot of sense to me, because Falcons can do some crazy work. Like, they're like turrets a little bit, right? Where you can get them down pretty easy if you can get to them, but if you got other units buffering for them, I mean, they do insane DPS. So he's got the squirrel front line, but really he's got that chameleon front line to tank for those falcons. So that's kind of going to be the order of the front line for Mishi, right? The chameleons and the squirrels and the falcons. But Mishi needs to be careful. You know, with the build he's going for, his army should not be as strong as Vix's right now, and he's gonna lose. He definitely lost 1 chameleon. I think the other one might live. Nope, it dies right there. So yeah, that's kind of the drawback when you go for an early expansion and a lot of early tier 2, right? I mean, the opponent's gonna have more squirrels, and let's see. I mean, if these wing demons can stay alive, one goes down. The other one has not been targeted yet, but does get a poison stack, and yeah, that one's definitely gonna go down too. So Vic's in a pretty commanding position here. Let's see if it's going to be enough. I mean, moving in fairly well. You know, starting to get on top of the opponent here, and just kind of shows you how you can play in situations like that. You know, where we're talking about, okay, the area between the 2 natural bases kind of favored Mishi, right? If we got to that phase of the game, so Vix was like, you know what? I'm going to go in there quickly. I'm going to grab you know, a bunch of tier 1 Warrens, and I'm going to make sure I don't let you get established on that high ground before it becomes an issue. So, great play out of Vix there, definitely. Alright. Game number 3? Yeah, okay, cool. Alright, last match. Mishi versus Vix, tied up. In the 12 o'clock position, we've got Vix. And in the 7 o'clock, we've got Mishi. Nice swampy map here. Reminds me of Florida. Florida is just one giant swamp, man. That's all it is. But I don't know. Like, what are my predictions for this game? I think both players should go 8 farm again. I'd imagine Mishi kind of seems like he likes that style of getting a couple tier 1 Warrens out in a tier 2, and that's a really good style, to be honest. I mean, it's pretty safe, and it gives you a clear objective. You know, you're not just sitting there making like tier 1 Warrens and not sure exactly what to do next. You're like, okay, I'm gonna get out a little bit of defense early on, get up to my favorite tier 2 unit, and try to go make a play on the map, or try to gain some map positioning to start, you know, sectioning off and claiming territory. So as far as expansions go, I mean, Vix definitely has the advantage with that natural base there. But, I mean, Mishi could be king of the swamps if he wants. I mean, if he can set up a good position and kind of keep Vix back into his little north side of the base, Mishi could take a lot of these gristmills. So, yeah, I mean, Mishi doesn't have a really good pocket base where Vix does, but I feel like overall some of these other gristmills are pretty neutral. I mean, yeah, it's going to be easier for Vix to get these couple over here in like the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock position, but we'll have to see. I mean, we'll see if it even gets to that phase. I mean, yeah, there we go. So Mishi's switching it up this time. Well, maybe not. Oh. See, I think what Mishi wanted to do was kind of fake out the scout, but the scout just came a little too late. Like, he wanted to throw down the third Squirrel Warren, so when Vix scouted him, he's like, okay, everything's normal, and then, you know, sell it after he leaves and grab that tier 2. But always a good play to just take a campfire, man. Just take him. Just 9 times out of 10, you'll get away with it, trust me. So yeah, I mean, these guys are neck and neck right now. Their build order timings shouldn't make too much of a difference. I mean, yeah, Mishi's gonna have his tier 2 out first, and well, it could make a difference if Vix decides to do something right now, which he does. I mean, Vix does have the squirrel lead. He's gonna have that gristmill to help him maintain this territory, and Mishi really can't just sit around and let Vix take that. I mean, taking that high ground up there is pretty critical to Mishi's victory strategy. He's got to have a spot on equal footing where he can attack his opponent, and you know, especially now, I think that's a great play out of Vix to go ahead and throw some turrets up there and just really say this is going to be my base, and force Mishi, if he ever wants to get a second base, to go be Shrek, man, go be king of the swamp. And we'll have to see how Mishi responds. He's got his chameleons now, so he does have a methodology to get in there and take out those turrets, but you know, Vix's army is really neck and neck with Mishi's. You know, Mishi doesn't have some kind of built-in advantage here where Mishi can run into those turrets and trade favorably. I mean, Mishi would have it would be difficult for Mishi to trade favorably, you know, in a straight-up engagement, because Mishi put all that money into the Badger, which now it's going to be rough for Mishi because he's got to make the decision to save up for that Badger, which is going to mean you don't want to be having to reinforce your units, so you don't want to engage for a minute, which is going to mean that Vix is going to be able to secure this top ground pretty uncontested, which he's going to feel really good about, and it's going to put him in a great position this game. So looks like Mishi is kind of paying an ode to the meta of a weekend or two, right, with the Badger Pigeon, and I think it's a really fun composition to play myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Oh, right on. Yeah, let me know if the stream's good, guys. Oh crap, I don't have I need to put my cable in. Am I lagging at all? Is the stream good? Let me know. Sorry about that. Normally I got Icebox here to help me out with the chat, but he is AFK for a couple weeks. He just had his first baby born, so I am doing this solo bolo for a minute. But yeah, after this game, I'll run over and plug in my Ethernet cable. But anyways, Mishi deciding now's the time to pull the trigger and move in on these turrets. And right now, I mean, it's looking close, but I think as long as Mishi can keep this Badger alive, which Vix did try to micro very heavily to prevent. Oh man, that Badger is tanking so much damage. That's definitely the worst feeling in the world, when you like really commit to taking out a specific unit and then it just barely lives because all that damage was just totally wasted. And great game sense out of Mishi, man, to sit back, and that's the correct move to do when you're kind of getting contained like that and the opponent's building a lot of defenses. You just got to say to yourself, like, it's all right, calm down, you know, don't throw units into the meat grinder and allow your opponent to rack up free kills or anything. Just wait till you should mathematically have enough to break out of that and just head in there and get it done. So we'll have to see, man. This is rough for Vix now, and Mishi decides to take that base. I'm not sure if Mishi's really planning on microing or just kind of wants to claim more territory here. And Vix is smartly scouting about, seeing what Mishi has. He has identified now that that campfire has been taken, but again, like, what is Vix going to do? Vix can't just move his army over there to take that campfire out and leave his main base to expose, so... Dude, Mishi's a macro beast, man. He's like, you know what? That's fine. I'm ahead right now. I don't have to attack in and give my opponent defender's advantage. I'll simply just take this gristmill, get more ahead, build a little zone for myself, get a turret on the ground. I do this old school badger pigeon style, which is still really effective. I mean, you can still stack a pigeon pretty well, up to reasonable numbers nowadays. It's not phased out or anything like that for sure, but here's the engagement. Vic's trying to get a good angle to try to avoid the turret. Get up on Mishi's critical units, and that badger just, if you can't DPS the badger down, you simply can't win the fight. So great effort out of Vix. And actually, guys, give me 1 second and I'll plug in, oh whoops, wrong button. I'm gonna plug in my Ethernet cable real quick. Not a super long break, just like a minute, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, everybody, sorry about that. I think the chat's saying it. There's no lag or anything on the stream anyways, which is good, but better safe than sorry. I do have an absurdly long Ethernet cable, I might as well use it. So if it's your first time here, welcome to ToothAndTailTV. I am Delthius. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. EST. Normally with me is Icebox, but he had to take a couple of weeks off, so you guys are stuck with me for now. We're going over Banner Bastion's kind of messing around with some tournament organization and doing a couple things in Challenge right now. I think it's kind of still internal, but he has talked a little bit about doing live stuff, with everybody, which would be really cool, man. And I got a chance to talk to Day 9 at TwitchCon, and that was one of the biggest advices he gave me to help build the community, was the more little tournaments and little leagues and seasons and fun little things to compete in we can do, the better. So I thought I'd show off his efforts tonight, and we'll go from there. So we normally do replays. Anybody can submit a replay, man. Please do. I have to have replays to do this show. Submit your replays to ToothAndTailTV@gmail.com. I've had a lot of great submissions I've had to skip because of patches, but we haven't had a patch in a little while now, so we're on a good roll. So without any further, I apologize, guys, I'm not paying a ton of attention to chat, so I'm hoping the audio is okay and all that. So let's get into the next game. Okay, so that was the semifinal game in this little tournament between Vix and Mishi, and Mishi ended up winning 2-1. So now we've got DJ Soak, the mole man himself, playing from an underground bunker against the Goose is Loose, who won his game in the first round. So then whoever wins this 2 out of 3 will go on to play Mishi in the finals. Alright, let's do it. Where's it at? Don't look. I gotta get it. I'm gonna make a little sensor screen for that. It's gonna be so dope, man. It's gonna have the logo on it. It's gonna be sick. Alright, so in the 10 o'clock position is Gruce's Loose, and in the 6 o'clock, that's Bellify. We've got the Mole Man himself, DJ Soak, and look at DJ's deck, man. I think if Moles had 1 attack and 3 HP, DJ would still find a way to make him work, man. And I'm interested to see that. It's crazy as a caster now, where I'm like kind of excited for a Mole game, because when I first started casting, like that's all it was, you know. So it's really great to cast a guy like DJ, because he really knows how to mind game his opponent in the early matches. Like, you know, for example, he started building a farm, let the Gruce scout that, and then canceled it to go ahead and throw down a couple tier 1 Warrens for an aggressive strike here. And it seems like the Gruce is going to be aware. And what I imagine DJ is going for here is probably get out just enough squirrels. Like, he's not going to wait for all 6 squirrels, and he's probably going to build a forward mole to help out with the attack. And you know, put on a lot of aggression. And the Gruce is respecting him. I mean, DJ, if you're new to the Tooth and Tail community, DJ's got a reputation for being a very aggressive player, which I think is really healthy for the meta. We need aggression, and I know people QQ about it, but I can rant for hours on, like, RTS principles, man. But that's kind of why we see a lot of economic openings lately, is because people just aren't as aggressive as they used to be. And you really need somebody like guys like DJ who aren't afraid to play aggressive styles to come in and kind of be like your speed tests. Like, I don't know if you ever played Magic the Gathering or something, but you know, like, aggro decks were always a pain in the ass if you ever played Magic, right? Like, everybody hates the guy who's playing the Red Goblin deck or Red Burn deck or something, but that deck is like the clock of the meta, if that makes sense. You know, it's like you have to respect, like, you have to respect me at this point in the early game, or else I can get something done. And I think that's really important for a healthy, diverse early game. It makes things kind of switch up, and it really prevents it from being like, okay, this is the most optimal early game composition you can go for. But anyways, back to this game. I mean, Gruce's Loose is actually in a pretty good spot here. He managed to hold off DJ's rush with a defensive turret. You know, DJ ended up losing the mole in that engagement, and Gruce's Loose does have a slight squirrel advantage and tries to push that lead, but DJ's got the defender's advantage. DJ positioned his commander up on the high ground, so he had perfect vision of the entire engagement. And Gruce's Loose smartly turns around. You gotta be really careful about that, man. Defender's advantage is very, very strong in this game, and you can overextend. I've lost so many games by overextending and not even really realizing it, you know. So let's see what the choices are from here. I'm interested why DJ took the Toads. If he's taking the Toads as like a, you know, I'm going to include this no matter what. Like, maybe I haven't seen a lot of Toad play since the changes. And if you're taking a break from Tooth and Tail for a week or so and you're not aware, like, Toads do more, I think it's more AoE damage now and less single target. And they also don't hop into the enemy's square before they blow up. But I think they crit buildings or something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but yeah, DJ going for that Falcon and tier 1 heavy build, and Gruce's Loose making a similar play with the Chameleons. And I just love, like, I almost wish Falcons were a little weaker, as weird as that sounds to say, because I think Falcons are strong enough as they are to where it's a smart move to just go for Falcons, right? But I really love that kind of niche that they could possibly feel, where it's like, oh, the meta is very chameleon heavy, it's very ferret heavy, you know, it's very Uncle Butters heavy. Let me run the Falcons as a counter pick. But in reality, as you can see here with DJ's build, I mean, you don't really have to do that either. You can just get a, you know, pretty sizable amount of squirrels out and go up to 4 Falcons, and it's a really good combination because the Falcons are going to sit in the back line with the proper micro and just deal the damage, while the squirrels are your grunts up front, you know, taking the hits and letting their bros, the Falcons, you know, rack up all the kills. And man, I wonder if the Gruce is aware of the Falcons out of DJ here, because he is going very hard on Chameleons, and that is going to come back and bite him in the ass, because, as we all know, Chameleons cannot attack Falcons. But we'll see if the Chameleons out of Gruce's Loose were enough to deal with the squirrels, but it doesn't look like it. And I love this use of the mole, man. Like, okay, I'm on the offensive here. I'm about to make a big push. Let me just throw in an extra couple moles to you know, buffer my army a little more, add a little bit of tankiness. It's like, why not? You're already out in the field. You don't have anything else to spend your money on. All your units are made. It's a good addition, but I kind of like it. Like, I like DJ showing off some good uses of the mole. Like, we saw it to put on early aggression, but the early aggression didn't necessarily net him a huge advantage, right? And then we see it to reinforce the army in the mid game, which I thought was really cool. But I like that position of that unit where it feels like the pigeon to me, right? Like, if you're a person who enjoys the unit, you can take it, but you don't like have to take it because it's amazing. So, cool game. All right, let's hop into the next one. Yeah, DJ says he thinks the Falcons are a little weak, which I think that's where they need to be, man, for sure. Alright, game number 2. Alright, spawning in the 3 o'clock position as Archimedes, we've got the Gruses Loose. And in the 9 o'clock as Bellified, everyone's favorite capitalist, we've got DJ Soak. And similar builds the last time. I don't think it's exactly the same, but I cast too many games, man. I don't pay close enough attention to detail. I mean, I think the theme is same out of DJ's build for the very least, right? He's got the moles to do some early game aggression. He's got the toads maybe to be safe against the lizards or to formulate an all-in. And you know, I'm interested, to be honest. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's gonna do that same kind of style where you get up to several falcons really early with some squirrels, and you know, so far everything's pretty standard. Both guys are respecting each other, right? They're going for that like five farm Warren, you know, 6 farm kind of build. And this is, I feel like, the quote-unquote safe opening, and it's good against most things. It's not super greedy. It's definitely not aggressive, but let's see how these maps turned out for these players. DJ's definitely got a pocket. You know, he's over here tucked in nice and tight with all these trees around him and cliffs and hillsides, and he's got a nice natural expansion that's going to help him out. And meanwhile, Gruses Loose is kind of in a simpler situation. I mean, both spawns kind of have their ups and downs, to be honest. I would say DJ's is definitely favored, especially for the 3rd and 4th gristmills, but I mean, the Gruses Loose doesn't have as much of a natural base, but it's still a natural expand, and it's on the high ground, so it's not going to be insanely difficult to defend. And interesting use out of the lizards here coming out of the Gruses Loose, and you got to change stuff up, man. And if DJ was kind of hoping just to defend in the early game with some squirrels or something, these lizards catch him off guard. And great play, just being annoying, man. You know, making DJ float too much money, messing up his timings a little bit. Things like that really matter, and especially if you can tilt a player too, you know, just kind of like make him mad. As much as that sounds like a mean thing to do, it's a valid strategy as long as you're not breaking the rules or harassing them as a person or anything, right? Like, anything goes in the game, dude. And if you can get in your opponent's head and just kind of frustrate them a little bit because you kind of messed up their plan in some annoying way, that's always a valid strategy. And I like this move coming out of the Gruses Loose here to take that middle campfire and just try to establish this zone, this map control in the middle, and it's going to be great for him because he's got the turrets, you know, he's got the ferret so he can poke, and yeah, we see the toads coming out of DJ Soak here, so it's definitely just a response to if my opponent has lizards. I read in a Reddit post talking about the lizards, and I apologize because I can't remember if it was like Swifty. I think it was Swifty who wrote it, and I think he made a lot of good points there. Like, I think lizards are still really strong against squirrels and still do fit a niche, but I think the magic number is somewhere around, like, once you get into the 20s or so, having the squirrels edges you out of lead. So it's in a pretty good spot. And all right, sorry, I gotta quit trying to read the chat. I mean, that engagement was pretty scrappy, but comes out for DJ, and that's kind of the other side of the coin with being aggressive about your map positioning early, right? I mean, Groose is loose invested a gristmill, he invested a campfire. Yeah, the gristmill's not down yet, but it certainly will be down soon. Ooh, toad engagement. That was a really good connection, and look at those moles in the front line just getting their tank on, and it'd be very hard for the Groose is loose at this point. I mean, DJ's right up on his production. He's not going to be given the opportunity to reproduce fast enough, and, you know, lizards don't grant you the same defender's advantage that squirrels would, because lizards kind of have to run out from their hiding behind the warrens, right? Where squirrels would just kind of stay back there, and it would be difficult for your enemy's AI, you know, just the natural targeting of their units, to target those squirrels individually, whereas the lizards run out in front of the warrens, and then the the AI switches pretty effectively over to them. So I think it's a great hold by Groose is loose, but I think this is a good showcase of a pretty solid build order if you're a new player, or if you're maybe looking for something to try out on the ladder. Like, I really like that approach of getting up to, you know, 9, maybe 12 squirrels, you know, going up to 2 to 4 falcons and kind of moving out at that point, because it's not a greedy build. It's not anything super crazy, and if your opponent goes for something greedy or super crazy, you shut it down with that timing attack in the mid game. And also, I mean, you know, tier 2 is very, very common right now, very, very popular, and I mean, falcons counter a lot of the other tier 2 units, right? I mean, skunks, ferrets, what's the other one I'm not thinking of? Chameleons. You know, none of those can hit air, so really cool game out of DJ. So that brings us to the finals. Let's see, what time is it? Oh man, it's only 9:10, dude. I got plenty of time. So let me see. I had this game lined up, but I think I was getting trolled, you guys. It's a 50-minute game. 50 minutes. Who wants to watch a 50-minute game? That might be dope. I don't know. If I'm kind of moving through these fast. I had a unique submitter submit me a free-for-all, so I want to get to that. And then afterwards, we might hop into quality Tooth and Tail content, maybe just for a little while, and then I might speed through it or something. So thanks everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it, you guys, and hope you enjoy these next matches. It's going to be Mishi versus DJ Soak in a best of 5. And look, you cannot get spoiled on this one. I renamed them, even though that doesn't matter. But there's 5 games, right? So it's going to go down to the nitty-gritty. All right, so here we go. 9 o'clock position as Bellified. We've got DJ. DJ keeps playing Bellified, man. Is that your new rat? Mine's always Hopper. And speaking of Hopper, we've got Mishi in the 5 o'clock position. Man, look at this map. This is gonna make for some unique game. And wow, you know what? It's fairly well balanced. Actually, like, the map is smaller than it seems, and it's kind of weird. Is there an entryway? Yeah, there's an entryway up there. So you can, if you're DJ, sneak in onto Mishi like that. That would be a pretty bastard move there. But, I mean, other than that, there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of little choke points. Both players have pretty easy access to 3 bases. Mishi gets the bonus campfire. But other than that, it feels pretty balanced to me. I mean, Mishi, if you had to hold a gun to my head and say, who does this map favor? I would say Mishi, because Mishi has the opportunity to take all 3 of his expansions and kind of contest this high ground up here, where DJ is going to have to be battling for this map control at the high ground position. But you know, we'll see if this game even gets there. And Mishi playing really ballsy against DJ Soak, man. I mean, opening 8 farm is pretty greedy against a player known for his aggression, but luckily Mishi got away with it. DJ just trying to play some mind games, maybe throw some false flags here. Wait, yeah, I bet he's going to sell those. No? Oh, man. I thought you were going to totally sell those and throw it on tier 2, dude. But no, Mishi recognizing my opponent really doesn't have anything, going up for that core composition that Mixie likes so much as well with the chameleons. And I love this play out of DJ to go ahead and just snag that campfire. And, oh, nice. He even gets the cancel. That's really interesting, man. But yeah, I think it's going to kind of be this chameleon opening versus falcon opening. And it's really going to favor DJ. Oh my god. No way. Okay. I was about to say, you're a madman, dude. I thought he was going to go up to 6 or 8 falcons right off the bat with nothing else there, so. Interesting. I mean, Mishi going for I still think that's an early expansion, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but, you know, if you're expanding, right now it's 220 in the game. I do block the game timer so you guys don't get spoiled, but I've actually been thinking about it lately. It's probably wouldn't be that hard for me to put a little timer down there and hook it up to a hotkey on my keyboard, so right when I start a replay I can just hit it. That might be coming soon. But yeah, for now they're at the 230-minute mark, so getting an extra base that early is really greedy. We'll have to see if Mishi does anything with it. He might just be kind of trying to claim some territory. He figured I'll go ahead and make the investment now since I'm not going to have to trade a lot of units. I don't really see Mishi saturating it just yet, which makes it less greedy, but it was still an early game investment. You can see that DJ used that same money on getting out an extra tier 1 warrants, so we'll have to see if that plays out. I don't think it will. I mean, this game seems pretty gentleman's agreement so far. You know, both players kind of taking it easy, taking it slow, building up to their favorite composition, and I gotta see. I mean, still going for the 4 chameleons, Mishi. I would love to see a tech switch into Falcons of Your Own or something. Or maybe Mishi knows. Of course, Mishi knows better than I, but maybe the plan is I'm going to use the chameleons to knock out the enemy squirrel line and then make the Falcons vulnerable to my squirrels. So we'll have to see. I mean, DJ deciding now's the time, especially since he's adding a couple moles into his army, which just great use. I really think that's the way the developers intended for the mole to be used, and gets in and tanks a lot of that upfront damage, but that turret is really putting out a ton of damage for Mishi, and fantastic hold. Both players trading, you know, a good chunk of their army, but Mishi definitely came out on top there, and those other turrets finished just in time, and that's what I'm talking about. If you can really, like, if you notice that turret, like, tanks some damage, but it stayed alive for the vast majority of the fight, like, that is basically optimal turret value, right? Because if you think about it, you do want the turret to take some damage, just to tank a little bit for the rest of your army, but you certainly don't want it to take enough for it to die, so kind of a fine line type of thing. And I mean, at this point, DJ's, I love this type of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, he's probably going to get in there, and if Mishi doesn't counterattack now, which I don't see why he would, because he's not aware of what's happening, just a sneak around play. Let's see how well 2 Falcons do mowing down some pigs, and gets one immediately. Gets a second. Can he get the third? Oh my god, that is so annoying for Mishi, but yeah, see, I pointed that ledge out in the early game, man. I wasn't sure if DJ was going to make abuse of it or not, but of course he does, and fantastic value, getting 3 pigs for free. And let me see, I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looked like 2 of those pigs were kind of on their way out anyways, but one of the pigs still had some hay left, or wheat, whatever they're mining to harvest there, so definitely good value, and always fun to see. Good thing for the viewers for sure. So DJ deciding to just straight up macro the hell out of that second base and get it fully saturated immediately, which I can't really blame him. I mean, he's got to feel a little safe. Like, that's got to hurt Mishi. You know, even just the way he's thinking about this match, like losing 3 farms like that, he might be a little hesitant about the math. That's another thing too you got to think about when you're playing RTS games or any competitive game where your opponent has limited information, is you can kind of feign stuff, right? Like, if I come out against you with a really aggressive opening and do some damage to you, you're gonna get scared and you're gonna get a little turtly, and you might not be scouting a whole lot, and you might give me a window of opportunity to switch gears into something really greedy or economic and not get punished, right? So kind of taking advantage of state of mind of your opponent is always a good thing to do. And you know, Mishi certainly hasn't done anything wrong here, don't get me wrong. I think it's a smart move to not retake those farms because they're mined out most of the way anyways, and Mishi's economy is still phenomenal after taking that harassment damage, but and he's going to be getting out the Badger, and if you notice, DJ does not have a tier 3 unit, so in theory, like, the longer this game goes on, the more it should favor Mishi, because if Mishi is just allowed to build out a Badger, or God forbid 2 Badgers, you know, get maybe up to 9 or 12 pigeons, his army is going to be very difficult to deal with. And DJ deciding that the answer to this is just going to be kind of poking and prodding. So he's got the ferret out, and I'm really excited for this because I'd love to see high-level ferret micro. It seems really cool, so I want to check this out and see what goes on. Chip said something about the Xeno balance deck. What is, balance mod. Oh man, I got excited. I was like, what's the deck, man? So yeah, DJ's coming in here to make an engagement, press the issue. He's not, see, with the ferret army, if you notice, he's kind of microing his ferrets to the front, just trying to get some free shots off, but he doesn't really want to commit to a hard engage, and well, maybe he decides he does, it comes in here, but I'm kind of liking Mishy's position here. I think DJ underestimated the chameleons and the badgers in this engagement, and Mishy just wiping the board with DJ's army there. And yeah, that's the thing about ferrets, is you gotta like really try to dance a lot, right? Like you don't want to take a super hard engagement. You just want to kind of poke and prod as long as you can. And I'm not sure if DJ was 100% aware that Mishy had the badger, or probably wasn't aware of the chameleon count as well. So it's kind of hard to make on-the-fly decisions like that, especially when you don't have 100% information on your opponent's army. And this game is going to conclude sooner or later, guys. I mean, this map does not have a ton of gristmills, and it was laid out fairly evenly. Like I said, I mean, the only thing is Mishy got that extra campfire and gets the high ground, but DJ did mine on that campfire a little bit earlier. I'm not sure how much, but if the game comes down to that campfire, it's going to be one hell of a match. So I think either way we can get excited. And let's cheat a little bit, look at these armies. I mean, Mishy's looking good, man. He took those last couple engagements pretty handily over DJ, and I think this is kind of where the deck composition of DJ is going to putter out a little bit. You know, if Mishy can get up a couple more pigeons, and if this gets prolonged and he even gets another badger, it's going to be a very strong army comp to deal with. And DJ decided, all right, maybe no more ferrets, let's go for the falcons. I mean, I don't know if it's the right call to get in there and like try to snipe the badger with the ferrets, or just hope you know, your front line eventually mows down the opponent's front line and takes it out. We'll have to see what he decides to go for when this engagement happens, but I don't think either player is really in a rush for another engagement. I mean, Mishy is ahead, but not light years ahead, right? I mean, DJ still has an army, and it's pretty sizable, and DJ's economy is basically going toe-to-toe with Mishy's at this point. So really, it's kind of in a weird spot now that I think about it, because if you're the guy who's kind of been losing fights in an RTS game, you want the game to drag out, right? Because that's going to make that gap in between money you've lost and earned versus money he's lost and earned go down, if that makes sense. You know, if you lose 50 food and both of you have only had 100 food to work with, that's a huge deal. But if you've had 1,000 food to work with, it's not a big deal. So DJ's got that going for him. If the game kind of stabilizes here without any big engagements for the next couple minutes, he can make a sizable army. But on the flip side, the longer the game goes out because of Mishy's deck, the stronger Mishy's deck becomes. And Mishy decides now's the time to move out, and I don't really blame him. He's got a ton of chameleons, he's got the badger, he's moving in here on DJ and just absolutely shredding his army. DJ's gonna get a couple moles out in time, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. And great game sense out of Mishy to really know when to pull the trigger and commit to the final blow there. So awesome. Awesome opening match. Alright, let's hop into game number 2 in just 1 second. Okay. Alright, need a sip of my drink here. I think that was game number 1, right, guys? I think so. I think we're on game number 2. Yeah. Spawning in the 3 o'clock position as Hopper, we've got Mishy. And in the 7 o'clock as Bellified, we've got DJ Soak. Alright, this map is interesting. So, this huge high ground right outside of DJ's base is going to be very critical to whoever wins this game. And I mean, the expansions feel favored towards Mishy. I mean, Mishy's got this natural base, which is great, sure, but you know, if DJ can maintain this high ground, which DJ typically is aggressive in the early and mid game, so if he manages to get that, it's going to be very, very difficult for Mishy to expand right there. And you know, this expansion over here is pretty decently far away, and the rest of the expansions on the map are pretty far away from both players. I mean, DJ's got this 9 o'clock, which is actually more defensible than it looks, right? Because the only way Mishy can get in is through this gap right here. So that's still only, it's kind of like if he can defend this ground, then he gets, you know, obviously his main, his natural, and then if he can extend that out to like maybe the top edge of this second high ground right here, then he's also defending the attack path for this base right here. So it's really going to come down to who can control this middle map position. That's going to make or break either player's economy in this game, and I mean, so far they're going really even, guys. I mean, Mishi went a little safer on his first Warren timing. You know, obviously respecting DJ is a very aggressive player, and at the same time, you know, no one's doing anything nuts. Both players went up to 8 farm economy. DJ was letting his money float for a second. I think he just had a little indecision on where he wanted to place his Warrens. So we're gonna see when these guys decide to do something crazy. And DJ hasn't really got much of a lay of the land yet either, and nor has Mishi, so they both aren't really privy to the awkwardness of this map completely yet, and I'd like to see how these strategies develop once they both kind of realize, oh crap, you know, whoever controls this middle ground, which is currently more so controlled by DJ than it is Mishi, is basically gonna, you know, hold the keys to win this game. And Mishi again going for this chameleon style, which is interesting. Like, I get it, but the fast wing demons that DJ seems to be doing. I guess to be fair though, Mishi's only played DJ. This is the second game of their matchup, so he's not super aware. But I feel like this double Falcon 9 squirrel opening is a really good response to a player you assume is going to go chameleon. And look at this, Mishi going for an incredibly greedy owl play. I love to see stuff like that. Did he scout it? No, so DJ Soak is not aware of the owl. Am I sure? Yeah, he's not aware, but DJ's going to be vigilant about his scouting, try to get in again, and this is where I really like the defensive turret. Like, okay, so you know most cases I kind of say, like, don't do this, what Mishi's doing, but here Mishi has to do it because Mishi is going for a very fast tier 3 unit, so to kind of compensate for the lack of army, since he's investing 360 food, he's going ahead and throwing down a couple turrets on the front line, and it's a really good play. And I like the idea of taking a tier 3 and a turret in my build because I feel like it gives you the flexibility. Like, you can't do this strategy on every map, but when you get an opportunity to do it, it can be a lot of fun when you kind of have like one position that's easily defensible, like Mishi does. You know, you have the opportunity to try to sneak out a really quick unit. And again, DJ doesn't really know at this point, but DJ's not messing around himself. I mean, he's getting out several tier 2 units. He's got snakes on the way. He's already got plenty of wing demons, and he already took an expansion, and that expansion was pretty well timed, right? I mean, it's 4 minutes into the game, so nothing super greedy coming out of DJ here, and just kind of trying to get the army down. And it's a shame that DJ hasn't spotted that tier 3 unit yet, but I'm not sure what he could really do to respond to it since he doesn't have a tier 3 of his own. I'm not sure if it would really change his game plan. It feels like DJ's game plan is to just kind of get bigger and become a better, well-oiled machine at this point. You know, throw down an appropriate amount of Warrens, get that second base up and running. And I believe DJ spotted the owl. I think Mishi revealed it a little bit as it came forward some. So I wonder what the response to that's going to be. Right now, DJ going pretty hard on the chameleons. Oh, what's up, Banner and Bastion? Yeah, it's all good, man. We're in your finals right now, obviously, but you should know that. Yeah, so let's see. I mean, DJ hasn't committed super hard to his expansion yet. I'm not sure if Mishi is aware of the fact that DJ saw the... Well, maybe DJ didn't see the owl. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I don't see why you would build more chameleons if he saw the owl, right? He'd probably invest a lot of falcons. Because obviously the falcons are going to do much better against the owl. Okay, now obviously he knows for sure there's an owl. And let's see what his response is going to be. Obviously he can't do anything like sell anything right now because the battle's going on. And, you know, Mishi's got chameleons of his own, so... Ooh, it's getting close. If those wing demons kill that owl, that's a big deal. That's a really fast tier 3 unit, and sure enough, DJ does manage to take the owl out, and that is huge, man. Mishi is in a terrible spot now. He's going to be forced to sell that tier 3 Warren. I mean, his economy is in the dumps. And meanwhile, DJ's got a well-rounded army, and he's got his second base up and running. So, and again, he's controlling this high ground, which is critical. So I wonder what Mishi's response is going to be here. He's just right now not doing anything crazy. I mean, he sold the tier 3 Warren, which is always what you want to do in these types of situations, and just kind of letting his army rebuild and seeing if he can hang on. But, you know, ball's really in Mishi's court to do something here. I mean, all DJ's got to do is sit back and relax and make those dollar bills, man. I mean, he's running the show right now, so it's really up to Mishi to get a plan together, to get an army composition together that might work for a last stand, or, you know, take one of these gristmills and somehow manage to hang on to it, because he's going to be running out of food here shortly. If you notice, Mishi's already down to 2 farms, or 1 now, so this is it, man. This is kind of the Alamo for Mishi's army here, and oh man, manages to come in and get a free falcon, 2 free falcons. That's not negligible. Yeah, I don't think Mishi could have taken a better engagement than that. That was fantastic, and kind of caught DJ out of position. I'm not sure what DJ's plan was there. I think he was just trying to come in and poke with his falcons, and kind of got unlucky to where Mishi's army was. And, I mean, yeah, DJ still won that fight, but that fight went as best as it could have for Mishi. You know, DJ clearly had the superior army going into it, so good final stand. And you know, Mishi right now is obviously got to sell something and try to just take a gristmill. We'll see if he does that, or kind of process the loss for a minute, think about what he's going to do next game. We'll have to see, but yeah, I don't know. As much as I like to keep suspense going, I mean, I don't think. I mean, maybe Mishi's not aware that. Yeah, see, he hasn't scouted that DJ has a second base yet, so he might not be aware that his opponent still has an economy, and both players. He might think that DJ is just as exhausted as he is at this point. That's why he's opting to stick around, but. Here's gonna be the tap out. Right when he sees this base, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm dead." Boom. All right, great game. Whew. Okay, going into game number 3, tied up 1-1 in Banner Bastion's mini tournament. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I am Delthius. I normally have Icebox with me, but he is busy at the moment. We do this every Tuesday, Thursday night. Banner Bastion's kind of been working on doing some tournament organizing stuff, so that's really cool, man. And whenever he's ready to kind of go public with it, we'll make sure you guys know all the details on how to sign up and participate. I mean, it's always fun to just join little competitive leagues and stuff. I feel like, you know, no matter what level of play you are, and just competing, you know, is such a rush. But all right, so it's 1-1 right now. Mishi versus DJ Soak for all the nerd points on the internet. Are you ready, guys? Here we go. Game number 3. Spawning in the 7 o'clock position, we've got DJ Soak, and in the top right, we've got Mishi. Another gorgeous map, man. Are those frozen lakes? No, I mean, I guess that couldn't work with the mechanics of the game. That'd be funny if, like, frozen lakes made you slide or something. I don't know. Oh, wow. Interesting strategy coming out of DJ. Just taking a super early campfire. I wonder what he's thinking with that one. So far, everything's pretty standard for Mishi, but this map feels small. Is this map small? It feels small to me. And, I kind of want to say it's favored towards Mishi a little bit, right? Like, Mishi's got this obvious natural expansion. It's on the high ground. That's beautiful. There's not really a place to place a turret effectively. You know, DJ's got this base over here. That should be pretty easy to take. And then these last 2 bases are going to kind of be weird. I think whoever's got more map control and tempo will be able to take it more effectively. But it's going to be hard. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see these kind of middle bases, kind of southern right bases not get taken at all this game. And so did Mishi scout? Okay, so Mishi scouted their early campfire at 8 farms and decided to answer that with an early expansion of his own and come in and keep kind of scouting the map and making sure that his opponent's not doing anything cheeky, like trying to take a hidden base or something like that. So they're both pretty aware of the lay of the land, and we'll have to see if anyone decides to go for something crazy like a really, really fast tier 2. I mean, right now it looks pretty standard. It's pretty interesting. It's cool Mishi's just taking the 1 farm. I agree with that. It puts his economy on even footings, even though he had to invest a little more for it. But overall, it's still a really good thing to claim that area as yours at this phase of the game, right? Like, Mishi's really got to make his stand on this high ground up here at the very, very least. to secure any kind of position on this map. And DJ taking that quick expansion of his own, and it was definitely scouted out by Mishi, so really interesting that both these guys are deciding to go for such a macro play on such a tiny map. But you know, this bridge in the water in this lake, it really adds a lot of dynamics to this, because it's going to be very hard to be the aggressor for either player, especially DJ Soak, because he's got to run through the water and fight a battle while his opponent has the high ground advantage. So it makes sense that DJ would decide to kind of hang back and farm and look at economy. And right now it's going to kind of get interesting, because both players need to scout their opponent's expansion, right, and make sure they're kind of matching the amount of farms the other player takes. Like, you don't want to take all 8 of your farms and your opponent built, you know, 3 or 4 more tier 1 Warrens and just comes in and runs you over or something like that. So they're both kind of matching each other toe-to-toe on the amount of farms that they're taking overall in their expansions. And both players are taking quite a few, so at this point it doesn't matter. Yeah, they almost lined up exactly, which was pretty awesome, like the rate that they took those expansions compared to building new units. And I like this call out of Mishi, man, going for the Falcons early. You know, Mishi really likes his chameleons, but you gotta understand, now that he's played a couple games against DJ in this series, he understands what type of player DJ is currently and what kind of strategy DJ is going for. So Mishi is saying, you know what, man, I'm pretty positive you're gonna go for those fast Falcons again, so I'm not gonna waste my money with an early chameleon. I'm gonna get some Falcons out of my own, and that assessment's gonna turn out fairly well for him. And let's see, I mean, right now, DJ is going to have a little bit of a window while Mishi's investing money in that tier 3 Warren. We'll have to see if he takes advantage of it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, again, because just the topography of this map is going to make it very difficult to come in and attack for either players, right? So that's going to be really advantageous to Mishi, and that's where having a tier 3 in your deck adds a lot of variety to what you can do to your play. It's similarly same with DJ's build. Having the mole, you know, adds a lot of variety as well. So both these guys kind of going for different things. I'm sure DJ's aware of the tier 3, right? Yeah, he scouted that, so he knows it's coming. He knows it's most likely a Badger. So I'm interested to see how DJ is going to deal with that, to be perfectly honest, with his army composition, because, I mean, unless he got a lot of snake shots out on the Badger, which he's not going for any snakes, he's just going to have to out-muscle Mishi very, very hard, right, to win in an engagement where his opponent has Badgers and Pigeons on top of the Squirrels and Falcons. I think Mishi's late-game army composition is just more well-rounded than DJ's is, so it's going to be very difficult for DJ to engage on a fight, and Mishi seems to be aware of this and realizes that his army, pound for pound right now, is very damn strong, and needs to take some advantage of that by going ahead and moving in with the Badger. But here comes a DJ strat, man. He's getting a ton of moles to help tank this engagement and decides to go in for it. I mean, as long as those moles can get on the front and all those chameleons tank the hell, oh my god. Mishi's army gets absolutely crushed, just kind of showcasing the power of a strong front line with a lot of DPS behind it. I mean, DJ built like 5 or 6 moles at the last minute, and had 4 chameleons that all gave their lives up, but they're able to provide enough of a meat shield for DJ's Falcons to get in there and just hammer down Mishi's army. And the saving grace for Mishi here is that he did not lose his Badger in that engagement, so he's able to kind of reinforce, and they're going for round 2 here, and again, those Falcons are just getting so much room to put their damage out, and a lot of units to buffer for them on the ground that they're all barely making it out alive. And what a close game, dude. I mean, that first engagement, DJ absolutely won, but it wasn't critical for Mishi because Mishi did not lose the Badger, right? So Mishi came out of that fight alive, but came out bruised. And then the second match, I think, was more favored. Yeah, you can tell by the spikes, actually. We'll look at the graph in a minute, but Mishi's not messing around, man. Going for battle number 3 here. And I think he might be overextending a little bit, and it's kind of hard to tell in situations like this. But again, Mishi keeping that Badger alive. Oh my god, how is it still alive? 4 HP, 1 HP, finally goes down. And I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin for Mishi here. You really can't lose the Badger with that kind of strategy, but man, that was a sick game, dude. That was dope. Okay, so you can look. Okay, you see the big spike, right? just past the 5-minute mark, and then they both fall down very, very far. Mishi's goes down further. That was that first big engagement. And then round 2, Mishi managed to win. Round 3 went pretty even again, and then in round 4, Mishi just wasn't able to keep his badger alive. And that game was sick, man. I enjoyed the hell out of that one. All right. So, match number 4 in this best of 5. Let me take a sip of my drink here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mishi. If your badger were to live there, the graphs were showing you guys were still pretty even. So, it's game 4. Yeah, it should be game 4. All right, let's do it. Is it game 4 or is it game 3? Oh my god. I'm so sorry, you guys. I have the memory of a goldfish. I know it was definitely 1-1. This was... Yes, okay. Yep, alright. So you just can't... You can't question yourself, man. You gotta go with your gut. Alright, game number 4. Let's do it. Spawning in the 9 o'clock position, we've got DJ Soak. And in the 2 o'clock, the Mishi. Pretty wide open map here. Spawns are absolutely favoring Mishi if this goes long, but this map isn't incredibly big, and it's gonna, you know, allow some early aggression to come in. And interesting, it looks like building a turret in time to a 4-farm mole seems to be the answer nowadays, and DJ understands that, so backs off. No big deal, you know, mainly mind game type stuff anyways. And Mishi is not letting that get to his head at all, because he hasn't missed a beat. He hasn't been bullied into making early warrens. He's still getting up plenty of farms. And yeah, DJ's plan this game has got to be to go aggressive, right? Like, look how many gristmills are available to Mishi. And to be fair, though, even if Mishi does manage to take 1 or 2 of these gristmills, the high ground advantage is in DJ Soak's favor. So I'd like to see DJ push on with a really early, aggressive style this game and try to get himself out on the map. And maybe he doesn't kill Mishi per se, but he denies Mishi's capability to expand very early. And DJ can take this noon base as long as DJ can kind of maintain this middle ground here. And damn, Mishi, that is such an early expansion. 1 minute 20 gristmill coming out of Mishi here. And maybe he recognized... See, well, he saw the campfire taken from DJ, and that seems to be triggering Mishi to go ahead and spawn a gristmill. So maybe that's what he's thinking, but if I was in Mishi's shoes and I was analyzing this map, I would absolutely be thinking some big aggression is going to come my way. But hey, I guess I'm wrong, because that's not what DJ has in mind. I mean, he is going up to 12 squirrels. Okay, maybe I'm right. I don't know. It's hard to read, man. But he did get the fast extra campfire, so we'll have to see how that comes into effect. And Mishi's not going super hard on this expansion, but I think it is smart for Mishi to try to maintain this ground, right? Because the most logical expansion for DJ to take would be this 12 o'clock base, and by taking this, you're messing up the route in between those two. So DJ instead is going for this base on the lower ground, but yeah, he's just kind of playing mind games. I don't think DJ is going to try to commit to a gristmill in that position, but what he is doing is forcing Mishi's inferior army to come out and take him out on the field. But Mishi did manage to get that turret down in time, and that turret is in such a phenomenal spot, man. Like, if Mishi can get a little bit of tempo and kind of scoot those turrets like right up to the edge of his territory, he would have contained the hell out of DJ and make it impossible for DJ to ever really get a good economy of his own going up. So I feel like it's really on DJ this game. Like, DJ's got to make a play. He's got to come up with a plan. He's got to fight for some control of the map here. Otherwise, Mishi is just going to take these gristmills that are, you know, basically gifted to him, no problem, and get very ahead. And Mishi does scout the campfire out of DJ just south of his base, and I think it'd be pretty safe for Mishi to just walk over there and take it. Yeah, and he does do that with his chameleons, so great use of controlling your different unit groups. You know, you don't have to commit to moving your entire army over there to do something like take out one campfire, right? So he just moves a chameleon over, no big deal. Manages to take it out for free, which is always good, of course. And let's see, so I think Mishi's kind of had that base long enough now to where that economy advantage is really going to start kicking in, right? Because if you look at the armies these guys are pumping out, they're pretty similar, but Mishi's got a better economy. But then again, it's not super fair to say because DJ did have 2 campfires for a very long time, and he's still got 1 campfire of his own, but DJ's got to be aware he really can't just sit back and let Mishi claim this high ground territory and therefore all the gristmills around it. So he's positioning himself to move in, and definitely going to move in soon because that's a telltale sign of building the mole. And here we go. See how this engagement works out. Now Mishi does have his chameleons in position, and they were gladly sacrificed there as they're able to hold the front and tank very effectively for this turret for a long time. But once DJ's chameleon got into position, it really helped them turn the tide of this battle and gain some pretty significant tempo. So DJ's starting to do what he needs to get done, which is inch back out onto this high ground and say, no man, you don't own this high ground, because whoever owns this high ground owns all these gristmills. So as long as DJ can take this map control, which is what it looks like he's really fighting for to do right now, especially with 4 moles out on the field just buffering the hell out of that front line. But I don't know, man. The wing demons go down for DJ, but he's got plenty of squirrels left. If DJ doesn't focus down that last falcon, it's gonna get a lot of value, and sure enough it does. And this game is getting very, very scrappy, and it's a very desperate position when you're on the side of DJ in this match because you don't have an economy to fall back on where your opponent does. And I think this replay glitched. What is up with all these replays glitching? Is there any devs watching? Come on, guys. Yeah, so I'm gonna assume I think Mishi wins there, right? So we go to the 5th game. Yeah, that's weird. All these games were played yesterday, I think, and I think I've had like 4 out of 15 where the replays just didn't end. Alright, last game in the winners final. Yeah, the game just like ended but didn't end. I don't know. Last game in the winners final here. DJ versus Mishi in the best of 5. Let's do it. Alright, spawning in the 11 o'clock position, we've got DJ Soak. And in the 5 o'clock, we got Mishi. Man, this map is really interesting, to be honest. Like, look how much on the mini-map is kind of cut out by all the vegetation, by the trees and by the hills. So, this map is a pretty brawl battlefield here, right? Slightly favored towards Mishi because both players have access to 3 gristmills on their side of the map pretty easily, but Mishi's also got those 2 campfires to take. But, you know, DJ, I kind of expected out of a player like DJ to just run over here to this 3 o'clock campfire and kind of take it underneath the nose of his opponent. And I don't know, man, I'm actually really excited for this game because this map is like simple yet elegant, right? I mean, it's kind of split down the middle already. And it's like, okay, this is going to be where we engage. And these 2 bases are going to be the ones that we really have to contest each other over. I mean, Mishi can take this expansion a little safer. You know, obviously DJ can get over here and take this pocket pretty easily. But it's going to be these middle 2, kind of on either side of this little bridge water crossing, that's really going to make or break this game. And you notice Mishi's already kind of flexing for that positioning already, right? By placing his Warrens forward, kind of on the edge of his territory, and kind of setting himself up to claim all this area and gain that map control, which is going to be very crucial this game. I mean, these are very close spawn distances. There's not any wavy paths that are going to, you know, twist and wind and make attacks take longer than they should or anything. I mean, these guys are going to be able to slap fight each other over and over pretty constantly. So really excited for the choices here, and so far, you know, their builds make a lot of sense to me. Both players are playing really safe. You know, I feel like the safest thing to do is get up to like 4, maybe even 5 tier 1 Warrens, you know, before committing to higher tech. You just feel good, you feel safe, and you can punish things that are really greedy of your opponent too, right? Like, both these guys pretty much mirrored each other, with the exception that DJ has already taken this pocket base, but why the hell wouldn't you, man? That's so tempting to take that. It's like so tucked away. And hard for Mishi to scout, hard for Mishi to ever get to. Pretty easy, pretty no-brainer expansion. Kind of similar to Mishi's pocket base over here, so that would be a good response to go ahead and snag that by Mishi. But looks like Mishi just for now is interested in grabbing the campfire, reinforce the army a little bit. Don't make too much of a commitment to an expansion, and we're able to see how much DJ commits to his own, right? I mean, if DJ goes crazy and really saturates the hell out of that second base, it's gonna put Mishi in a great spot. And I kind of like these engagements, man. Like, it's a lot of fun. Like, I kind of like the squirrel, falcon, chameleon style meta. Like, I think those units all kind of really work together and bring out the strengths of one another, fairly well. So just kind of a lot of posturing at this point, you know. I mean, DJ's kind of starting to invest in his expansion. Doesn't want to fall behind on army, though. Mishi's just taking these campfires, not ready to invest in an expansion of his own, and incomes are evened out. And finally, Mishi goes ahead and grabs that gristmill, and nope, cancels it. Oh, maybe he was, yeah, I think he was just letting one of his falcons start or something like that. But it's a really smart move for Mishi to go ahead and take that for a couple of reasons. For one, it's going to stretch out his territory, right? So he can build some turrets where this obvious choke is going to be right here in the front. And also, like, if you take this base and you can maintain that territory, this base is free in the back for you, right? Like, this base is pretty free for you as long as your opponent doesn't harass from his own territory. So he's kind of planting his flag, man, and saying, this is my ground. And I think that's a strong move. And really, the next decision, like, I feel like DJ's deck is kind of like this just powerhouse deck, man. Like, DJ's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and he's just going to get more stuff. And I was going to say the decision-making on Mishi is going to be when, if ever, he throws down the Tier 3 Warren, which he does decide now is the time. And, you know, there's a lot of tension on this game. Oh, I love this type of stuff. So, let's see if DJ can respond to it, but Mishi just bringing his falcons over, one attack, getting his commander out of there. Look at that, and in position to micro back, man. Beautiful play. Makes DJ cancel a couple of his farms, comes in there, and it sacks a couple of the other farms. And, man, I just love seeing stuff like that. Really cool, man. Makes me want to play with falcons more. I definitely should. So, Mishi just floated a little bit of money there to let his badger get started. Yeah, where does he put his turret? So, I'd like to see the turret creep from here, man. Just kind of get a little more forward and a little more forward, and to the point where DJ can't take that gristmill out without breaking Mishi's position, you know? Like, can't take his own gristmill in the front because it's just in turret range. Would be ideal, but Mishi right now's strategy is to just sit back and wait for that badger, which makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't think DJ's quote-unquote seen it for sure, but he's got to know it's coming. I mean, it's at that phase of the game. It's 5 minutes and 30 seconds in. He knows Mishi's been running that badger, so he's got to be expecting it at this point. And man, those engagements last match, though, were freaking sick, dude. Like, I thought Mishi's army was going to hammer DJ's, and with some good micro, you know, DJ managed to take some fights pretty handily. But again, Mishi was holding in by just keeping that badger alive, and it was really close up to the very end. And I definitely agree, if Mishi would have kept the badger alive in that last fight, the game would have not been over. So now, here's where the pressure is really on Mishi. Like, DJ's entire army is pretty expendable, right? Like, obviously, you don't want to lose the Falcons, but Chameleons are kind of born to die. You don't really want to lose the Falcons or the Snakes, but Mishi has got to keep this Badger alive. Like, if this Badger dies, it's going to be too much damage for Mishi, and so far, Mishi's doing a good job in that engagement, like, running the Badger up a little bit to tank some of the damage for the rest of his units, and bringing it back just in time to where it doesn't die. I think that was pretty smart, and yeah, I mean, that's a really equal engagement. They're both fairly similar in armies still. I mean, DJ's taken the lead, but not by a whole lot. And as long as Mishi can just keep that Badger alive, he's going to be in a good spot. Especially with these pigeons coming out for him. And let's see. Really, I wonder when these guys are going to start thinking about their third gristmill, right? And it's going to be a lot easier for Mishi to take a third than it is for DJ. I mean, if DJ takes the base even to a little bit left of the hotly contested base, you know, right up front, it'll still be relatively easy. Yeah, the one he just took. So Mishi can still get in there with his units, not all the way in there, but kind of like right here, you know, and harass that spot a little bit without bringing his army too much out of position. So this is a very conservative play by Mishi. I really like it, you know, keeping this back base to the very end, because that's the kind of gift base to him, you know. So he's already doing the legwork of fighting for a position and taking these bases that are a little hotter on the map, you know, and he's like, you know, I can always fall back on this last pocket base that I've been saving all game. So yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. It's not going to be super effective yet. You know, obviously DJ's going to put his first couple farms in the back to prevent that kind of harassment, but once that base gets saturated, it's not going to be out of the question for Mishi to kind of come over here and poke, and DJ's kind of answering that right now by keeping his army, you know, in position defending that, but of course, this game will eventually come down to if DJ can take that grist mill there, and he can't be in both places at once, and we'll have to see. It's going to come down to some pretty interesting positioning here, and the high ground vision is, I mean, the high ground advantage is pretty omitted by the fact that Mishi has the flying units, but that's still not the best place to engage for Mishi because he's got to walk through all that water, right? And you don't want to slow down your units in either situation if you're trying to engage on your opponent or if you're trying to defend your opponent's engagement. It's never going to have slow units, right, guys? So I kind of like it. Like, I love when we get to these spots where the dance happens, but sure enough, as I say that, DJ decides dance time's over, now it's time to punch, and comes in here and hard engages on Mishi's army, and it looks like he's going to get away with it. It seemed pretty even for a minute. The Badger goes down, and just that raw, I like this play out of DJ. Like, this is just, to me, like, this is like the power deck, you know? I mean, his units really complement each other. He's got the Chameleons to tank, he's got the Squirrels as your overall, you know, kind of DPS, kind of tanky, and then he's got his Falcons to defend, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, to do all the real damage for his composition here, so it seemed to work out well, and to be honest, I figured Mishi's army would stand up better to that with the Badger, but the DPS out of some well-protected Falcons is absolutely insane, and well played out of DJ. Okay, guys, so here's what we're gonna do. For one, please send me some replays, guys. I'm basically out of new replays to do. I think I have a few stragglers here or there, but don't be shy, man. Submit your replays at ToothAndTailTV at gmail.com, and there's no rush. The next show's not going to be until next Tuesday at 8 p.m. EST, so if you get a chance to play over the weekend and you have a couple cool games, I'd love to see them. But I like to give you guys a little more. I normally go for a couple hours, but I have this submission of a free-for-all game from Josh on the ladder and on Discord, and I have this game called Quality Tooth and Tail Content, which is supposed to be absolutely insane and stretch out for a very, very long time. So I'd like to get to these two submissions. What I'm going to do is go on a very, very brief break, use the bathroom real quick, and then we'll come back, we'll hit this free-for-all, we'll hit the Quality Tooth and Tail Content game, but I hear it's very, very long, so we might speed through parts of it. I don't know, but give me a couple seconds, guys, and we'll come back and maybe go for another half hour or so. How's that sound? So stay tuned. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, everybody, I'm back. See, I spoil you guys, man. I gotta have Icebox here, because Icebox is, like, the responsible nerd, you know, he's like my older brother. He's like, no, man, it's time to stop, because I'm just like, can we do another one? Can we do another one? Icebox is pretty good about keeping me chained in and keeping the time to like 2 hours, so let me check these messages and make sure nothing said anything like crazy to me. Oh, sweet. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I was just making sure I didn't get any messages that were like, hey, the stream is dying or something. So, yeah, Awkward Fish Guy. You talk about the pigskins. I'm not going to get on it right now, but I will totally put them on next patch, man. I try to keep as many community skins as I can on, because why the hell not? So, I want to get to this game and hit a unique submitter. Josh on the ladder. He's like a rank 40 player, but I think this is a silly game. I think it's like a free-for-all or something, so... Alright, let's do it. Oh lord, okay. Free-for-all games, man. They're so much fun, dude. I gotta play more free-for-alls, but we've got Nomasano over here as the quartermaster. We got Josh in the blue. We've got Genocide Big Daddy as Hopper, and of course, who could forget Rosenman on the Archimedes. So, I mean, right off the bat, I prefer Nama's position here, right? The quartermaster, because he's kinda, if he can get a front going, he's kinda got a good spot on the map. He's got all these bases right around him, kind of tucked in behind him, and not to mention, I mean, look at this, dude. These guys are... Oh, wait. Yeah, I was gonna say. For a second, I got confused, thought it might be a 2v2 or something, but these guys are literally right next to each other here, and that's gonna be freaking horrible for him, man. And we'll have to see what they all decide to do. I mean, I'm really digging Green's position here. Overall, I mean, no one's doing anything too crazy yet. In a free-for-all, well, actually, as I say that, Rosenman took a very, very early expansion, which is definitely crazy. But, I mean, all these comps look pretty good. Actually, they all look pretty similar, right? Like, everybody's got the squirrels, everyone's got a handful of tier 2 units, everyone's got their favorite tier 3, and, hell, even Big Daddy taking a couple tier 3s, and then everyone's got a turret, so... Already, the pressure's building between our red and blue players here. I mean, obviously, it's going to have to. They're literally in spitting distance of each other, and I feel bad for Big Daddy on this map, to be honest. Like, what is he supposed to do, man? He's got to just knock Josh out of the game immediately, number one, and number two, like, where's he supposed to go? Like, he can take that campfire there, sure, but that's really all he's got available to him, and... Look, man, Nama is not messing around, and I kind of agree with Nama's strategy here, to be honest, because... all of his opponents are so close to each other, they're gonna be neck and neck with each other, and Nama's like, screw that, man, I'll just chill back at my base. Look at him, he's being super ballsy, he's not even putting up any static defense or anything like that, so it's really, really courageous what he's doing right now, and he can easily get punished pretty hard by any of these opponents who kind of gain wind of it, but, you know, Josh is trying to, but just the doodads on the map are preventing him from getting really good scouting information. He does recognize that one extra base has been taken by Josh, but I'm sorry, by Nama, but I'm really worried about Nama, man. He is going to get absolutely out of control if these players kind of kick back and let him. Let's see. I mean, oh, and then, that's so hard for Big Daddy, man. Look at this. Like, not only does he have nowhere to go, but he's got nowhere to place Warrens. Like, I think maybe if he was a little more efficient with his placement, he could have got a fourth Warren down, right? Because it looks like there's like a pixel grid there and there that he could possibly sit at, but that's super rough, man. That's 4 total Warrens he can take. God, I guess if you're Genocide in this situation, you gotta kind of sneak that noon base, right? And kind of build this as your new spot, but that would be rough to do. I mean, these guys are no slouches. This is a relatively high-level game, right? And they're not gonna just not scout the map or anything, and Josh making that play for himself, and I mean, these guys are lucky Nama doesn't have the owls. I mean, the Owls would be absolutely nuts for a guy in his position. I mean, he's going to get light years ahead in economy. I mean, look at that, man. He's got more money than basically almost all three of them combined. So that's pretty insane. And it's really going to have to see what he decides to do with it. I mean, I don't think he's happy that Bellify got one of his gristmills over there. Yeah, and he's going to try to put it into that now, but maybe thinks better of it. And to be honest, not a whole lot has happened this game. I mean, most gristmills are already being claimed, which is pretty crazy. I mean, our red and blue players over here kind of had a little skirmish. They kind of been bouncing at each other back and forth all game. But as I say that, Rosenman does this great little run-by attack with lizards and manages to get 3 pigs out of it, which, man, I'll trade 3 pigs for 6 lizards any day of the week. And stuff like that's really why I feel like lizards still have a good place in the meta, because you really can't do those kinds of attacks with other units. And let's see, I mean, Genocide is floating a lot of money. You know what I'd like to see him do? Is just sell all those Warrens and throw down like 4 Owl Warrens, right? I think he's got room for 4 Warrens, so that would be the biggest bang out of his buck. 4 would be a little crazy, I know, but kind of take the risk of maybe my opponents don't scout me for a minute, and get those really, really high value stuff. And he's trying to figure out what he needs. He's not sure what it is, though, but he understands it's not what he's got, so yeah, I think that would be the move. But at this point in the game, like, I think Nama just controls way too much, and Rosenman didn't really do a whole lot to stop Nama. He kind of sat back and made sure he was safe against the blue and red players. I mean, the blue and red players kind of, you know, slapped and punched and bit at each other back and forth for a minute, but nothing crazy. And you know, Nama's just really been allowed to macro up super hard, but he hasn't. He's just now making the big investment into his army, and he decides, I've got the Badger, I've got a couple Falcons and Chameleons, I'm going to go ahead and move out and try to wreck face and Fiery Doom down on my opponent Rosenman here, and can't afford to lose that Badger. I mean, I guess he can, because he's got 15 damn farms, but you don't want to. You don't want to lose that Badger, guys. Losing a Badger is generally not something you'd prefer to do as an owner of a Badger. It's typically a good idea to try to keep him alive. Man, like, what do you do if you're Genocide this game? I think the move was definitely throw down 4 Owls, right? Like, he kind of got a SimCity right to where he can afford everything, and he hasn't, like, lost a lot of money. Like, he's kind of done mining at this point, but he's still got a lot of that money floating around. I think if he would have taken the 4 Owl move, yeah, now he's finally starting to get there. And then you wipe out your opponent Josh and maybe try to make a play for that base right there in the middle that used to belong to Rosenman, but that's going to be basically the end of the money income here. And this game is getting crazy. Like, how is a 4-man free-for-all where nobody's been wiped out yet? And Josh did manage to sneak up here and take this 12 o'clock base and defend the hell out of it. And, you know, I'm really starting to... It's kind of rough, because Nama's got a lot of money, right? And he's being smart about it, especially with this back base. Like, he's not oversaturating it. He realizes this game is probably going to go to starvation, and, you know, I got to make sure I've got a couple farms left in case we get to that point, and I think that's the same concept around Joshua taking that last farm there, and finally Genocide got an Owl out, and he can get in here and break Josh's position, but Josh doesn't really care about that base anymore, man. Yeah, that's the move to make. Just get a ton of Owls out. He's got all that defense, and let's see, Genocide's the only player who's running money, and he is starting to get stuff done on the map, but unfortunately, man, taking that base that he just managed to destroy is not going to net him very much, right? I mean, that base was basically fully mined out. But either way, the territory will help him, and dude, this game is crazy. I don't even know what to say anymore, guys. Like, Josh has got 5 Owls on the way, but then I think he's gonna sell off a couple of these turrets. Yep. So he can start affording the onslaught, but really, I mean, Nama and Rosenman kind of keep going back and forth a little bit. You know, Rosenman's just kind of got a motley crew of units and not a super impressive army, and I think Josh has played, I mean, not Josh, but Genocide has played really, really well. Might have could have made that Owl switch a bit earlier, But overall, he doesn't really have anywhere viable to expand, and if Genocide doesn't win this battle here against Nama, then he's just not going to have any options moving forward in this game. And he does manage to push Nama back, but it's going to be very hard for him to go anywhere. He's like Germany in the World Wars, right? You got France on one side and Russia on the other side, so he's not in a very good spot tactically. Even if he takes this base, it's going to be very difficult for him to hold. And I think he's kind of recognizing that and preemptively attacking into Rosaman and realizing, you know, if I can't win this fight against Rosaman by himself right here, right now, I'm certainly not going to win the fight against Rosaman and Nama at the exact same time. And surprisingly, Josh comes out not bad on that fight. And no, he doesn't have any money. Josh, no. 1 second. That's unfortunate, my man. That's alright, because we got 3 players left in this game. And right now, it's looking really good for Josh, I feel like. Like, Nama's got the economy, but Nama doesn't have the free units, man. And getting the Badger out's going to be awesome, but he doesn't have the pigeons to go with it. He's got a lot of turrets, but they're not all in, like, ideal positions. Like, Josh has kind of got the front line. Like, Josh has both the things put up that you need in this phase of the game, right? He's got the turret line, and he's got a crap ton of owls, and I'm not even sure if he's revealed those owls yet. They're just kind of sitting in the back hanging out. And a good response to an enemy who has a whole lot of owls is an enormous turret line. Where Nama does have quite a few turrets, but they're all kind of spread out. And this is going to be rough for sure. I mean, if Rosenman can kind of just sit back, mine up, I think we talked about on last stream, if you get like 2 boars out, that's enough to blow up basically anything, right? So if your opponent has a ton of owls and you've got a couple boars, when you blow up, you'll destroy all those mice. So that is a way Rosaman can overcome Josh's armada over here, but this is looking good for Rosaman, to be honest, because the more Josh and Nama are kind of at each other's throats, the more Rosaman can take this extra gristmill, which is going to give him a gristmill lead on Josh and put him on the same footing overall throughout the entire game as Nama with a 3-base play. So he's not looking bad, but Rosaman doesn't really have an impressive army to speak of right now. He's only got a few squirrels, a few pigeons. He's trying to save up for a boar. But Josh, man, Josh, take that last farm, Josh. Josh, come on, Josh. Josh, take the farm, Josh. Oh my God, Josh. Josh, where are you going? Josh, come back. Just put the farm down, Josh. You're giving me an ulcer, dude. Dude, Josh better not lose because he didn't put the farm down. He's building suspense, man. So I don't need to put it down for another 30 seconds exactly. Look at all those mice just coming in there, and I mean, that's practically critical damage at this point for Nama. Well, he does have a few extra farms over here he hasn't taken yet, but Josh, you are really playing with my heart here, dude. You've got plenty of money. There's no reason. You deserve... If you die... I'm not going to say you deserve, but if you lost because you tried to be too slick with this... Are you going to get it in like 1 second? No, okay. 6 seconds to spare. Reasonable. But this is it, man. I mean, Rosenman is kind of the hidden army over here, just kind of building up over time. All these other players are kind of at each other's throats. Yeah. Yeah, no, DJ said, yeah, obviously you want to wait as long as you can. That is a really good point. I was just messing around. But no, from a competitive situation, what Josh did was correct there. You want to wait as long as possible. So your base will mine for another 5 minutes, hopefully as long against your opponent's last base as possible as well. But still, it was freaking me out, man. I was like, come on, man. Come on, man. Put that farm down, Josh. I mean, if Rosenman, I'm not sure if Rosenman's aware of the math or not, but if he could just get 2 boards out, right, and then maybe just a ton of squirrels, and, like, move the boars forward and have those blow up on all the enemy's mice, then you can get an opportunity to get up underneath the enemy's owls and maybe come back in this game. But even if Rosenman did that, he doesn't have any way to break through this massive turret line of Josh. But oh, and I'm not sure exactly the timing on Rosenman's farms there, but he needs to be careful that that last farm Josh took doesn't outlast him either. But in either of the situations, I mean, as long as Nama can hold on against this constant onslaught out of Josh here, Nama will win this starvation game. He's got 2 farms he hasn't taken yet, nice and tucked away in an easily defendable location. Alright, so now these guys are kind of getting standoffish. This is a very long replay, guys, so I might just kick it into ×2 so we can keep going. Get to the next game of the night as well. But I want to see who wins this. So yeah, we're just going to fast forward a little bit. Josh coming in, knocking out all those mice. Makes sense. You want to, I mean, all your mice respawn every minute, so you want to definitely make sure you're going out there and you're using your mice as often as possible, getting as much value as you can out of the owls. And Rosaman deciding that was the time to do it, but you really need 2 boars, and now he's kind of getting that memo, and he's got 3 that are building, but really needed to save that money, I felt like. Alright, let's do a little more zooming. See who wins this this Wild West standoff, man. Nama's already kind of turtling up for the never-ending. He kind of realizes, okay, as long as nobody breaks me here, I should win this game, right? These players are posturing. I mean, Josh is going to start starving soon, right? He's going to be the first one out of this game through starvation. Like, Josh has to get in there and take out a gristmill of his opponent to not win, to not lose just based on the timer. One boar goes off and wipes out a lot of those mice, which is really all Rosaman needs to do, right? Like, he doesn't even have to kill Josh. He's just got to wait for Josh to mine out. But Josh did manage to take this base that was previously owned by Nama, so that is definitely going to help him stay alive even longer. And Nama's still in the best position to stay alive the longest, but that's gonna change. I mean, Nama's still got the only non-taken farm on the map, right? So whenever Nama's ready, he can pull that trigger and get an additional 5 minutes to stay in this game. But of course, to do that, he's also got to be able to stay alive. And Josh's position is just nuts, and I really don't blame him for the turrets. Like, none of his opponents have an easy solution to turrets, like ferrets. And an army of 5 owls is very powerful. I mean, you don't really need a whole bunch more than that. Alright, we're gonna fast forward again. Yeah, this game and then the next game are both really long, so I am gonna be fast forwarding just so we can get through them. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to pause it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I know it kind of sounds dumb at first, but hear me out, guys. If you're going against an opponent with a ton of owls, you build 2 boars, right? And then you have the rest of the army chill back. And then you wipe all the mice with the 2 boars exploding. And I think that might be a good solution. And then you move in with your other units. Now, it's only going to work if you can conserve the rest of your army, right? Like, you don't want to rush in there with your whole army, and then the boars blow up, but all your squirrels and stuff are dead. You want to make sure the only value that the owls get are the 2 boars, which is a lot of value, but trading that many mice for the boars isn't necessarily a bad idea either. And Nama's seeing if there's any weak spot to Josh here, but Josh has got his fortifications pretty handled here, man. And when you get into the hyper late game, owls are so strong. Like, if you're in a free-for-all, dude, it's almost never a bad choice to take the owls. And I think from here, Josh is going to win this war of attrition. And great play, man. It was good decision-making out of him to take that 12 o'clock base very early. So finally, Nama's starving. I mean, he could take that last farm, of course, but he's got really nothing left. And now he's just kind of being annoying, you know, running around taking gristmills and stuff. Kind of like a Terran floating his command center or something in Brood War, right? But that's it. So, crazy game. So, alright. Check it out, you guys. Listen. This game, quality, misspelled, tooth and tail content, I think got submitted to me to troll me, guys. I noticed it had a really long replay, or noticed it had a really big file size for a replay. It's a 50-minute game. It's 50 minutes long. I'd have to devote like half the show to it. But you know what? We're gonna do it anyways. We're gonna fast forward through pieces of it. But we gotta do this for science, man. Like, I didn't know it was even possible for a Tooth and Tail game to go on for 50 minutes. So I'm pretty intrigued. Hopefully it'll be quality Tooth and Tail content. And, yeah, play the game on 5x speed, right? I know. I probably will. We'll see. We're gonna rush through it a little bit, but this is for science, man. 50-minute long game? How is that even possible? Well, we're about to find out. Let's do it. Oh, man, these guys always have good content, man. At the bottom, in the 6 o'clock position, we got Nikki. And the 10 o'clock, yeah. Alright, my brain's still working. We got Insane Jester, and of course, at the 3 o'clock, we got a Logan. If you guys aren't aware of these players, Logan's actually the one who's made all these skins that you see on the show. The Lizard Wizards, the Christmas Ferrets, the Badger with the Witch Hat, the Bats, Pigeon Bat. I feel like I'm forgetting one. I gotta be forgetting one. There's probably one more somewhere. But really great pixel artist. Has a ton of good stuff. You can actually get access to his skins if you go underneath the Twitch profile page. There's a little link. I think it's like a Dropbox or a Google file or something. I don't know. Icebox set it up. So you can go there and click on it and get access to all the skins. They're really easy to install. Feel free to hit me up or hit a Logan up on Discord. We can give you a hand if you need to. They're a lot of fun. They're really cool. And somebody else was messaging me earlier about custom skins they're making too. So I love that kind of stuff, man. And if you make any kind of mods or anything I could possibly help you promote or showcase on this channel, that is what this channel is here for, guys. Bring you information on the events going on in Tooth and Tail and kind of showcase off some of the hard work some of these community members put into. And Nikki's got a special place in my heart because the first night me and Icebox started this, Nikki agreed to do some show matches for us, and we didn't have a whole lot of content. We actually had no content. We were just kind of scrambling. So Nikki was playing unranked against random people who weren't aware of what was going on at all, but stuck it out for us for a couple hours. So I really appreciate it out of him, man. That's super awesome. But let me talk about this game so far. So what the hell is going on with this game, Insane Jester? Now, I know I didn't talk a lot about Jester, but Jester just plays a lot of games with Nikki and Logan and is known for doing silly crap like this. I mean, what is going on here, dude? You got 4 farms, 4 turrets, and an owl on the way. Like, I love it, man. I love Insane Jester replays. And you're taking an expansion, dude? This guy's a baller. Alright, so since this is a ridiculously long replay, we're gonna fast forward a little bit. So yeah, I mean, Logan is kind of just building up some lizards, getting an expansion of his own. You know, Nikki's playing pretty standard, going for that kind of like 2 Squirrel Warren into Falcon play. We saw a lot of players like DJ earlier tonight, and you know, right now it's kind of just gearing up for a good macro game. And what the hell, man? Like, how do you have 4 farms and an owl? Like, I have never seen that before in a game of Tooth and Tail. That's pretty crazy. And I would like to know too, these guys are going pretty hard on some defensive structures as well, right? Like Insane Jester and Logan both have the barbed wire. They both got, you know, basically all the defenses besides the landmines here, and they're just starting to draw this map away. And let's slow it down for a minute. We're at about 6 minutes now, and no big, real big engagements yet. But look at this, man. Logan is up to 26. Count them, 26 farms. That's pretty damn insane. He's going up to 4 drumfire cannons. He's got this just impenetrable wall all around him, and this is getting pretty nuts, man. I mean, Insane Jester is starting to try to keep up with a little bit with the macro, and same with Nikki, but Logan is definitely shooting forward, which, remember, guys, in a prolonged, silly... I mean, this is a fun match. You know, keep that in mind. These guys are in Discord together, having fun, yelling at each other, having a good time playing Tooth and Tail. But you got to be careful, though. When you build this many farms early, you're going to mine out, right? So I'm interested to see how Logan's going to handle that this game. He didn't hold off any of his farms to prevent that from happening, so... Again, we're hitting about the 7-minute mark here, and no real large engagement has happened yet. And Nikki and Jester are starting to... Ooh! Great job out of Nikki. Using the Fox to get in there and knock down an owl always feels great as a Fox player. And I'm actually really happy to see Foxes this game because, as I say often on the show, Fox is my favorite unit. And And I really gotta start backing that up by playing more Fox on the ladder, man. I gotta get Foxy again. You know, she got a nerf, but sometimes people overreact to nerfs. Like, I don't think she's uber strong, but she's definitely viable. You know, she's not... It's not like, oh, you picked a Fox, you're a baddie or anything like that. And especially when you get two Foxes together and they one-shot a lot of valuable units. And oh my god, a Logan! Let's just take a minute to appreciate that. And I have a feeling it's gonna get even more silly. Like, look at this. I guess I don't have to pause because it's so long. This is freaking D-Day over here, man. This is the beaches of Normandy. The Logans got set up against our allies, Nikki and Jester. They're not really allies, it's a free-for-all. But you know what I mean. Insane Jester comes in like, yeah, I don't think so. And the Logan's like, yeah, right. And deflects all that immediately, taking very, very minimal damage. And, you know, let's see. What it's going to come down to, I mean, a Logan got these 4 bases pretty early, right? But these are going to mine out, especially for a 50-minute long game. This base over here, yeah, I was going to say, it's really going to come down to in a fight between Insane Jester and Nikki to see which one of them gets to have a 4th base. And then it's going to be a fight against a Logan and Nikki to see which one of them gets this 4th base. But other than that, I mean, I am kind of confused how this game is going to drag on so long, because it looks like farms are starting to mine out. We're on ×5 speed here. We're cruising through this, man. We're at the 12-minute mark. We got some sick owl versus owl play going on. We got 8 owls out of Logan. We got 6 owls out of Jester. And we just have a crap ton of falcons coming out of Nikki, which, man, this is what I've been saying lately, guys. Falcons are a good kind of counter, I think, to this type of meta. You know, the owl can't do anything against the falcon, and yeah, I mean, on auto attack, it's going to take a falcon a minute to kill all those mice, sure, but the falcon's going to gain a lot of value against a unit like the owl, so Nikki's kind of left out of the owl party, but he does have 26 falcons on the way, which is a large amount of falcons, guys. Cruising and cruising. Dude, we're not even like a 1/4 of the way done with this game. How is that possible? Like, okay. The Logan's got this campfire, but he did take the campfire a couple minutes ago. Insane Jester's gonna come in and try to do something, but unfortunately can't. And loses a couple of his army there. And wait, what happened? Oh my god! How did I not miss that? I'm the worst caster in the world. So a Logan tech switched out of all of his owls into 96 freaking lizards, dude. Or 62 rather, still. That's insane. Look at all these lizards. Here they come. Dun 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 dun. What do you do against 63 lizards, Andy Shots? Tell me that. Dude. 63 lizards, you guys. Versus 31 falcons. Let's do it. Who's gonna win? Ooh, wow. Very close. Oh, the fox! Does the fox live at 1 HP? Oh, dude, that's hardcore. What is going on this game, man? I mean, Jester's hanging on. He's just turtling up over here on this last base. I mean, this base has got a little bit of juice left. Logan's tapped out on mining, man. He's got his campfire, but that's it. But he's also got 50 lizards, which is a lot of lizards. I mean, if you're up to about 50 lizards, I think you're in pretty good shape. And he comes in here and lays a smackdown on Nikki and says, "Go home, nerd. It's time for me to fight Jester 1v1 solo bolo." Now, this does put a Logan in a good position, right? Like, he's got all this defense that he doesn't really need all of that. Yeah, he starts selling it. He's got this gristmill, which should be pretty obtainable for him. And Jester can kind of take the rest that's left over at Nikki's one base there. He could come over here and retake that, but you guys, I have to emphasize here. This game is not even a third of the way done. Yeah, don't tell me I missed the tech switch Sky Raider. I caught it eventually, okay? I missed it by like a minute or two. There's so much going on this. That's so many lizards, man. 70 lizards is insane. Now what's Logan doing? He sells all those off. He gets about 2,000 food, which is a pretty good amount of food to have, I'd say. If you're sitting at 2,000 food, you're in pretty good shape. Let's see what he's gonna do with it next. I mean, he takes these gristmills and just Because why the hell not, I suppose, is what he's thinking. And no way. Those are right out of range? That's why he took the gristmill, just to gain some more territory advantage. Oh my god. Alright, so Jester's starving here. What is even happening, dude? How is Jester not gonna die? Okay, takes a farm. Oh, duh. I'm bad. Alright, so... I mean, Alogian's got all the money. We're at 23 minutes in, and this game's not even halfway over. Just letting everyone know. Alogian is just spending all of his money on defenses. Which is a good... I mean, these are liquid assets here, right? I mean, he could always sell all this stuff and make like 90 lizards if he wants. I mean, at this point, I might prefer like 8 owls. I don't know. I'm not sure how much life is left on this campfire. I don't think there's a way to tell. Unless I'm wrong, let me know. Alright, sorry guys, I get distracted. I try to read the chat. Yeah, so 12 owls for Logan here. Maybe 11. Maybe that sounds more reasonable. I think 11 owls is pretty good, right? Sells all that defense, like, what the hell? All Jester has defense too. Now we gotta see Jester sell some stuff and make an army. Like, 9 owls is pretty good. That's pretty efficient. And Logan's got the space over here to keep mining at, but I don't think Logan's actually interested in more money at this point. I think Logan just needs places to stay alive, and that's kind of the strategy of this game, right? Like, these guys are gonna mine out each farm one by one and just see how long they can stay in these games. And I mean, these owls are free, you know, producing free units, so slowly but surely Logan should be getting the tempo of this game. And my money's on Logan, but how does it take you this long, man? We're about halfway through the replay at 30 minutes, you guys. So buckle up. I mean, is he gaining value at this point? I don't know, he decides to go really hard into lizards, which I don't think is the right call at this point, because those drumfire cannons are just gonna absolutely hammer any amount of lizards that Logan's able to produce here, I think. Yeah, ouch, dude. Yeah, nice try. I mean, you gotta change it up, right? But that is not gonna work here. And really, now it's just gonna become a starvation balancing act. Like, who can manage to stay in the game the longest? This is a very silly game. I love seeing stuff like this on ToothAndTailTV, man. It's really fun. But I don't see a solution here for Insane Jester. I mean, he doesn't have the liquid assets. I mean, look at this. 166 barbed wire from Logan. Logan's just having fun, man. He's like, what all different types of combinations can I do here? Maybe I'll make 160 barbed wire all over the map, because why not? It's beautiful. I would like to see him like write his name or something in the snow, right? When he gets to this point. Now he's like, balloons seem pretty good. We'll do balloons. I mean, what? So at max, Insane's got another 12 minutes on him. We're reaching the 40-minute mark here, guys. So these guys have some freaking stamina. I think owls are the way to go, Logan. You got 3,500 bucks. Oh, nope. Maybe drumfire cannons are the way to do it. What do I know? Reaching minute 40 here. We have 9 drumfire cannons for Logan to take out that enormous tier 1 army that Jester has. It's kind of neat because it's like Logan has this like 3,000 to 4,000 bucks, right? And he's just building it in a variety of different ways here. It's pretty hilarious. I mean, all he's got to do is wait. I mean, the Logan should win the waiting game, right? This game just leaves me with questions unanswered. I'm just like, why? What is even happening anymore? It's just air balloons and drumfire cannons versus air balloons and drumfire cannons. Stuck in the barbed wire. Getting shot on by presents constantly. This is just silly, man. I mean, Alogian's got to win, right? His farms are going to last longer. I think that's what this has really come down to. Let's see. I mean, Jester, yeah, he's going to wait and wait and wait as long as he can until he's not starving, just at the last second. Build a farm. But this is it. I mean, if Jester's going to do something this game, I mean, why not? You know, I really would have liked to see Jester sneak a couple units in here, man. Sell a couple Drumfire Cannons, build some Wing Demons, and go over there and take this out for Alogian. Really throw a wrench in his plans here, but Alogian's hanging on, and it's going to be able to hang on for quite some time. I mean, he's got this whole base over here with plenty of farms left, so... Damn, man, I did not think you could stretch a game of Tooth and Tail out to 50 minutes long, but I have displayed it here tonight for your amusement, and I hope you enjoyed it. It looks like Alogian is finally done playing with his food. Gonna build up to a crap ton of owls and try to end this the old-fashioned way, right? With brute force and a lot of free units. The best type of units in free-for-all games. Oh, he did kill the farm. Yeah. Alright, that was just silly. That submission was sweet, though. Thank you for it. That was awesome. Alright. That's it for tonight, guys. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys are awesome. I don't have a whole lot of announcements right now. We'll be back on track next Tuesday, 8 o'clock EST. Please play some Tooth and Tail over the weekend and send me some emails to do. My email file is pretty slim right now. I mean, I got like 3 or 4 I can maybe dig up, but I really need some new submissions, guys. So don't be shy, especially if you've never submitted to the show before. I will absolutely prioritize getting you submitted to first. Or submitted to first. Jesus, man, my brain is not working anymore. I apologize. I'll prioritize getting to your replays first. I always try to do that for unique submitters. I don't have a whole lot of news right now. I'm not sure what the next Clash of Comrades event is. They kind of just had their big tournament, their Oktoberfest thing. So I know Banner Bastion has been playing around a lot lately with doing some tournament organization. That's awesome. I've been chatting with him about it a little bit. I'd love to cast some games for that, or even just casting the replays. I'm really satisfied with tonight's show. I mean, I think we got to showcase a lot of good stuff, man. We saw a lot of high-level games in a competitive environment and a little bit of a tournament. We got to see some silly games, and I had a great time, man. I hope you guys did too. So send me more replays at ToothAndTailTV@gmail.com, and I will see you beautiful nerds next Tuesday at 8 p.m. EST. Now let's find somebody to give that old host bump to. And sorry I haven't been paying too much attention to the chat, guys. I'm kind of soloing it here. Normally Icebox does that for me. Yeah, dude, Banner, I know, I'm not trying to name drop or anything, but I did recently go to TwitchCon, and I got to talk to Day 9 for a few minutes, and he said the biggest thing we can do to help build the community, man, is some more tournaments, some more little leagues. Like, I've been talking about trying to start, like, a TnTTV season, or, like, a after-hours gaming league type thing, where it's not really competitive or anything, but you can show up, you can have fun, you can play it over multiple weeks and get stats and get excited, and maybe split the show to like a half replay show and then a half like a live like TnTTV league type of thing. Or hell, if Bastion gets his thing going, we could just do that instead. I don't really care, man. I just like to see good content for everybody, for the community. So, I mean, Mishi, I love you, but we got this new guy, March Faster, here. I've never seen him. Let's go raid his chat, dude. What do you guys think? Let's raid March Faster, give him a warm welcome to the game, and maybe give him a couple follows, help his streaming out. So let's do it, guys. I'll see you guys on the other side. You're all beautiful. Have a good night.